Good evening, respected faculty members, distinguished guests, and participants. I, Gaurav Bhardwaj, would like to extend a warm and heartfelt welcome to all of you on behalf of the Department of Management, Maharaja Surajmal Institute, as we begin this exciting and enriching AICT approved 6 days A.T.A.L FDP on essential data analytics skills and applications in business management. Though we are physically apart, our shared commitment to learning and growth brings us together in this virtual space. And I'm truly delighted to have you all with us. In many cultures, lighting a lamp symbolizes the dispelling of darkness and the arrival of light. Light of knowledge, light of wisdom, light of enlightenment. Though we may be separated by distance today, we unite in spirit and purpose, ready to ignite the flames of learning and growth. This virtual lamp lighting ceremony marks the beginning of an exciting journey where each session, discussion, and interaction will serve as a step toward brighter and more informed perspective. I now invite you all to join me in this symbolic act.
या कुन्देन्दु तुषारहारधवला या शुभ्रवस्त्रावृता या वीणावरदण्डमण्डितकरा या श्वेतपद्मासना या ब्रह्माच्युतशङ्करप्रभृतिभिः देवैः सदा वन्दिता सा मां पातु सरस्वती भगवती निःशेषजाड्यापहा शुक्लां ब्रह्मविचारसारपरमा आद्यां जगद्व्यापिनीं वीणा पुस्तकधारिणीम् अभयदा जाड्यान्धकारापहा हस्ते स्फाटिकमालिकां विदधतीं पद्मासने संस्थितां वन्दे तां परमेश्वरीं भगवतीं बुद्धिप्रदां शारदाम्
Thank you. So, Maharaja Surajmal Institute is affiliated to Guru Gobind Singh Indraprastha University, New Delhi, approved by BCI and AICTE. NAC A grade accredited, rated as category A plus by SFRC and A by JAG Government of NCT of Delhi. It is also recognized under Section 2F of UGC Act, New Delhi. The institute was established in the year 1999. MSI is a self-financing, quality-conscious, and the oldest institute of Guru Gobind Singh Indraprastha University, and continues to be a preferred destination for students aspiring to excel in various fields of MBA, BLLB, BBLLB, BBA, BBA Banking and Insurance, BCA, BCom Honors, and BEd. I would like to invite Dr. Mamta Gupta, coordinator of A.T.A.L FDP, to say a few words.
A very good evening, one and all. As the FTP coordinator, I'm excited to welcome you to the FTP on Essential Data Analytics Skills and Applications in Business Management. In today's data-driven world, educators must possess a solid understanding of data analytics to enhance their teaching practices and better prepare students for the demands of modern business management. Through this FDP, we aim to explore key data analytic tools and techniques that can help in decision making, strategy development, and performance evaluation. By equipping educators with these essential skills, we empower them to not only enhance their own professional growth, but also contribute meaningfully to the business landscape. I would like to extend my sincere thanks to all the participants for their commitment to professional development. Your dedication to enhancing your skills will undoubtedly make a lasting impact on the future of education and business management. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Now I take an opportunity to introduce our respected director, sir, Professor Harish Singh. Sir earned his PhD in mathematics from Jamia Millia Islamia University, New Delhi. His area of specialization is in operation research, statistics, and business mathematics, and complex analysis and approximation theory. Sir is associated with different dimensions of education at various levels in contemporary educational system. He has rich and varied academic experience of 25 years as a renowned faculty member. Supervising MPhil and PhD researchers for the last many years, he has authored 19 books, proceedings, having rich experience with many research papers, book chapters at national and international levels, copyrights. He has also been awarded 14 awards and recognitions at prestigious level. Now I would like to invite Sir to address the participants. So I'm giving you the right to unmute yourself. Yes, sir. Over to you. Sir, unmute yourself. सर अनम्यूट कर दीजिए एक बार. No, sir, no, not audible. Yes.
Now, am I audible?
Yes, yes, sir.
Most respected, Honorable Professor Kumkum Diwan, Madam, my mentor, my guide, respected Sarita, Madam, HOD MBA Department, Coordinator of the FDP, Dr. Mamta Gupta, Gaurav ji, the organizers of MBA Department, all respected participants who have joined this 6-day faculty development program sponsored by AICT. Before I welcome my chief guest, it's my duty to introduce my institute and my society. Maharaja Surajmal considered farmers as the most important section of the society and had a lot of respect for them. He personally identified the problems of the farmers of this country and introduced reforms to rectify them. He expanded his kingdom from Bharatpur to include Agra, Aligarh, Ballabgarh, Etawah, Hathras, Meerut, Mathura, Gurgaon, Mewar, Rewari. And throughout his life, he kept on fighting against social injustice, racial discrimination, superstitions, and factitious groups, and sacrificed his life on 25th December 1763 in Shadra, Delhi. Inspired by the life and ideals of Maharaja Surajmal, a great Indian patriot and enlightened ruler of Bharatpur, during the 18th century, Surajmal Memorial Education Society was set up in 1972. which was registered under the Societies Registration Act 1860. And the main aim of the society was to spread quality education in both technical and professional areas, especially helping the students from rural background and helping those people of our country who are deprived from education. So there are more than 9,000 members of the society spread all over the country, mainly from North India. And when the land of around 8 acres was given to this society, the construction of the building was taken place. And earlier, we have introduced certificate and diploma courses in various technical streams in 1982. When the success of these academic programs and overwhelming support of the members, the people, the society in Delhi, when in 1999, Guru Gobind Singh Indraprastha University came into existence, Maharaja Surajmal Institute was set up. Already Gauravji has told that we are #1 institute of IP University. We are A graded by NAC, A graded by every affiliating professional bodies, where it's academic audit cell, higher education, where it's inspections from IP University. We are running one more engineering college in the same campus, who is also #1 in Delhi. Earlier, we all know that the students were running in the south. But now, when Guru Gobind Singh and the Prasthana University are set up in Delhi, already all the students are getting chance in various professional programs in Delhi. Besides, the society is also running 3 premier schools, one in Bahadurgarh, one in Shamli, and one in Bikaner. I am very proud that I am a part of this prestigious institute. This institute is placed in the rank band of 151 to 200 by NIRF. And I am very proud to tell you that recently in 2024, in India's Today ranking, we are #1 in BBA course. We are #1 in BCA course. Where it's a ranking of Times BBA ranking survey 2024, we are #1 in BBA. We are in BBA BCom honors also. We are #1 in Delhi. In Outlook magazine also, you see all the magazines and see our upgradation and our rankings. The MSI has achieved many awards, whether it's Internshala, SOYAM A.T.A.L and MTPL, whether it's from IBM Skills Build program. And recently, we have celebrated Silver Jubilee function in which Honorable Vice President of India, Shri Jagdeep Dhankar Saab, was the chief guest. Our chairman, sir, is leading this society, Shri Kaptan Singh Ji, who is who has retired from UP Minor Irrigation Department as chief engineer, and he is a person who is background from IIT Roorkee. He has been awarded many awards from rural background. His devotion is for farmers and deprived people of this country. Our faculty has also achieved many awards. I could not name those faculties right now, whether it's student achievements, both in academics also, the sports, whether it's a cultural fest, whether it's a talent show. In each and every field, our students have achieved many awards. In a regular routine, we are organizing seminars, conferences, and we are inviting people of renowned background as a main speakers in our seminars, conferences, FDP. Today, I am very proud that my chief guest is Professor Kumkum Dewan. She is not my mentor, she is my guide in my life. I am here as a director of this prestigious institute just because of her. I worked very hard during my research time. I have published many research papers in very renowned and national and international journals during her supervision. She is just like a mother for me. I have too much respect for her. I could not name where she has held many administrative responsibilities, whether it's a vice chancellor of Jamia Millia Islamia, whether it's a vice chancellor of Noida International University. He has varied experience in academic fields. Besides this, she is a very good human being. I have deep respect for Professor Kumkum Dewan. Today, I welcome her on the platform of Maharaja Surajmal Institute. We are running the cultural fest prelims of Anuj in our campus. The AICT has sponsored this FDP for us. So we are running this FDP on online way. There are many more speakers which will cover your 6 days total FDP schedule. I have deep respect for them that they have agreed to deliver a talk on the topic which is unlocking educator potential, which is very important nowadays. It is helping businesses to make informed decisions, and it improves the efficiency of every business, and it's gaining the corporate in a competitive advantage. You know, we recently, Modi ji has introduced one ministry, Skill India Ministry, just to raise the skills of our country. So I uh, hope that all the participants of this FDP will learn a lot from the from this program by the learning and experience of different. Thank you so much. Thank you, madam, for joining as chief guest for 6-day faculty development program sponsored by AICT. Thank you, madam.
Thank you, sir, for your valuable words. I would like to introduce to our chief guest, Professor K.K. Diwan ma'am. Ma'am is a PhD in mathematics from IIT Delhi and BSc in mathematics from B.R. Ambedkar University, Agra. She has received many awards like President's Award for Visionary Educator of India in 2017, Lifetime Achievement Award for contribution to the field of mathematics by the then Honorable Home Minister Rajnath Singh ji in 2016. She has over 49 years of experience in various capacities in central government and private universities in India and abroad. She has served as the advisor of GNIOT Group of Institutions, Greater Noida. She has been Vice Chancellor of Noida International University and officiating Vice Chancellor of Jamia Millia Islamia University. Now, I would like to invite ma'am to address the participants.
Muted. Thank you so much for inviting me. Honorable Shri Kaptan Singh Ji, President SMES, Honorable Professor Harish Singh, Director of the MAHARAJA SURAJMAL Institute, Dr. Pooja Singh of the Department of Management, Dr. Mamta, Dr. Gaurav Bhardwaj, other faculty members, research scholars, PG students of AICTE approved institutions and otherwise, industrial persons, all guests on the dais or off the dais, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I must say that I'm honored to be the guest at this faculty development program at the institute in which one of my students, Dr. Harish Singh, is the director. I know Dr. Harish Singh right from the time when he graduated and he joined Jamia. So it's a long journey which both of us has gone. And I have seen him growing, and I really feel proud that in such a young age, he has become the director and he is doing so well in life. God bless him, and I feel he has many years of work to go and he may rise to any extent. I'm fortunate that my students are all over the country, right from South to Kashmir to North. Everywhere I have students and all of them are doing well. And another student which I have is Dr. Pooja Singh in your institute. Well, if I start this, it will go on, but I must thank Dr. Harish Singh, who has spoken so kind words for me. I have been fortunate that I will be speaking at his institution today. In fact, the topic of today here is unlocking educator potential, essential data analytics skills and applications in business management, which is being organized as a 6-day FDP under the AICTE Training and Learning Academy. I must congratulate Professor Harish Singh and his entire team for organizing this initiative under the All India Council for Technical Education. As we gather here today, I would like to emphasize the significance of data analytics and artificial intelligence in modern education. The rapid evolution of technology has transformed the way we teach, the way we learn, and the way we interact. It is essential for educators to adapt and acquire new skills to stay relevant. This program is a vital step in that direction. By focusing on data analytics and application in business management and artificial intelligence, one will gain valuable insights to enhance your teaching methods and research. As educators, we play a vital role in shaping the minds of future leaders. The ability to integrate data-driven approaches and artificial intelligence-powered tools will not only enrich the learning experience, but also prepare students for the challenges of the digital age. Now, I would like to touch upon a crucial aspect, which is artificial intelligence law or governance. Artificial intelligence, it depends upon the data. Without data, it can't do anything. And data has to be relevant and to the context. As artificial intelligence becomes increasingly pervasive, it raises important questions about accountability, transparency, and ethics. We need for a more comprehensive AI framework is more pressing today than ever before. In this regard, the United Nations has formed a committee on technology, and the committee is on AI governance. And this committee consists of 193 member states to overlook AI governance or the risk to humanity which can be caused by the artificial intelligence, and to ensure that the AI fruits or benefits are shared equally by everyone. There is already a digital divide, and so we don't want a bigger AI divide. India is a significant player in the global artificial intelligence landscape. It has a vital role to play in the AI governance. Our country has already taken steps in this direction. And we already have the DPDP Act, IT Act, right to privacy judgment, and so on. We can't separate artificial intelligence governance from data governance. But at some stage, India will have to look at some specific aspects of AI regulation. It is not enough to say that only domain-specific regulation is sufficient. There is much work to be done. The impact of AI on jobs is another critical concern. While AI has the potential to augment human capabilities, it also poses a risk to certain jobs, particularly those that involve repetitive or routine tasks. It is essential for us to prepare our workforce for this shift by focusing on education and reskilling initiatives. Well, you would be knowing that we have every 15 years, there is a new generation which comes. It starts from 1640 and we go on to 2025. We start with generation A, then generation B, generation C, and so on. It went till Z. And then we had Alpha, generation Alpha, and then the generation Beta. Presently, generation Beta has started from 2025, and it will go on for 15 years till 2039. And if we see this generation, what I wonder is what are these children who are born during this period are going to face? No doubt, we will have self-driving cars. In fact, I was in United States a few months back, and I myself sat in a car which was a driverless car. In the beginning, one was scared what will happen, but then one gets used to it. And we already have AI tutors. We are all tech savvy. Not only this, technology and intelligence are seamlessly being integrated into our daily life. Not only this generation is going to adopt what? It is going to inherit the climate change, which we are all facing. It is going to inherit social media pressure. It is going to inherit the overpopulation. It will have the urban chaos. And not only that, above all, what it will have will be the AI-enabled parents. In all this, if they have to survive, adaptability will not only be a skill, it will be a survival tactic. So skilling is a must. One has to learn, one has to become lifelong learners. It was not like before that even if you don't learn, it's okay. But now, as things are changing so fast, and in 15 years earlier, there used to not much of a change. But now if you see, it is all change. Everything changes. So there is much work to be done. And if we see what will be the impact of artificial intelligence on jobs, it is another concern. While artificial intelligence has the potential to augment human capabilities, it also poses a risk, especially to certain jobs which involve repetitive or routine tasks. It is essential for us to prepare our workforce for this shift by focusing on education and reskilling initiatives. As far as the education is concerned, if we see, we have 1.3 million engineers pass approximately every year. But then what we need is not only the engineers, what we need is engineers with imagination, imagineers, you'd say, or engineers who can think out of the box, who have the power of imagination to do something new. So this shift will have to be there. And now, if we consider the scenario where AI is applied to the critical systems such as rockets, satellites, the stakes are high and the potential risks are significant. To mitigate these risks, we need to develop robust AI governance framework, which prioritize transparency, accountability, and human oversight. Now, as I said, if we apply AI, I would like to give one example. and that is during February 2020, when there was a war between Ukraine and Russia. If you see that, what did Russia do? It totally damaged their satellites and the communication system was totally destroyed. Ukraine did not know what to do. So they started wondering. Then the vice president of Ukraine, instead of going to United States or to North Korea or to China for help, he wrote an SOS to Elon Musk, of all the persons. And he asked for help. Elon Musk replied, and you will not believe it, within a day or two, he has a company known by the name of SpaceX, which has satellites. He sent the satellite, and Starlink satellite, which had 500 stations, and the communication system was revived. Otherwise, the communication was totally stopped with the military, the civil, and everywhere. So just see the importance of artificial intelligence. It was because of that only that Elon Musk could help. So no doubt it is important, but then all these things can also happen. Now, let's consider here. Another thing which I would like to discuss with you is applications. Now, applications, I will take the application for the legal system of a country. If we see, we have crores of cases which are there and no decision is being taken. In fact, they say that almost 20 crores of cases are there, and it will take ages to resolve all that. A software has been prepared by Argentina by the name of Promita. Now, if you see that software, what it has done, and the software has been applied in many places, including the, I'm forgetting, yes, including the University of Oxford, the University of Italy. Not only that, in the United Nations also, they have applied, where there are 25 member countries. And here, yes, this software is such that it can predict a judgment in 20 seconds with 96% accuracy by looking at more than 3 lakh past judgments. So imagine how fast it is working. And India has also requested the promoter of this, John Gustava, to have a customized artificial intelligence so that it could be applied in the Indian courts. Presently, it is implemented in the Inter-American Court of Human Rights, which has 25 member countries, the Constitutional Court of Colombia, and various courts of Argentina, including Costa Rica. So if we have a think of this, this is the strength of artificial intelligence. As far as application in military is concerned, the US military, for example, a drone can operate independently and has the capacity to make a kill decision on its own. This they do it as drones can link their camera to any of the Google's 100 million servers and obtain any data they need for a particular person or at any geographical location of the enemy. We all know, we are seeing the drones here also in this country. Now, then artificial intelligence, it plays a very important role in financial markets also. Well, it helps or suggests investments, and also it can change the portfolio according to the market changes. It also plays a key role in exchange rates, buy and sell. And it also plays a key role in medical science, in pharmaceutical companies, in robotic surgeries, and so on. As far as China is concerned, if we take the data part, it is the biggest country. It has the maximum data. And we can say that China is a superpower as far as the data is concerned. Now, they are fortunate, they have collected this data using a combination of state power and market-based system of aggregation. And we all know that data is the fuel that AI needs for testing algorithms and servicing human commands. China presently has 1 billion internet users, while United States has a third of it only, and India fares much better with 750 million users. Generative AI requires massive amount of electricity, which is another strong point with China. Now, as an example, if we write an email using ChatGPT, it is 100-word email. It consumes 1 bottle of water. That means without water, we will not be able to do anything. And if we have to produce electricity, China is doing it because it has a lot of water. Now, waiting in the wings is India and emerging AI. And as far as Technopedia is concerned, according to them, India is 7th. But what I feel is US is leading, and it is followed by China, Britain, Israel. Now, I encourage all the students to make the most of this program, engage in discussions, ask questions, share their expertise, collaborate with your peers to explore innovative solutions and best practices. I hope the youth will walk into the era today where technology flourishes at the intersection of ethics and morality. I will end with a quote of Benjamin Franklin, quote, "An investment in knowledge pays the best interest." Thank you for inviting me in this event, and I wish you all a productive and an enriching experience. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for enriching the participants with your words of wisdom. I would now request everyone to switch on the camera for the group picture. Please turn on your camera. Now it's time to start with session 1 of A.T.A.L FDP. Before starting the session, there are some instructions. Feedback forms will be circulated after each session in the WhatsApp group as well as via email. The form will remain open till 10 p.m. Google form for marking attendance will be shared for each day during the session in WhatsApp group. Assessment link will be enabled for only those with having more than 80% attendance. Minimum 70% marks in assessment is required to obtain the FTP certificate. So the topic of session 1 is machine learning algorithms, logistic regression. The resource person will be Dr. Anjali Munde. Dr. Anjali Munde holds a bachelor's and master's degree in mathematics honors from Hansraj College, University of Delhi. She was awarded the prestigious gold medal from Delhi University. Presently, she is working with University of Southampton, Malaysia campus. Dr. Munde has published several research papers in reputed journals indexed in ABDC, Scopus, and Web of Science. She has also presented technical papers at various national and international conferences. She is a reviewer, editorial board member of several national and international journals. She is one of the members of Technical Innovations, Financial Intermediation, and Environmental Sustainability Research Group at University of Southampton, Malaysia campus, and working on a research project under the same university seed fund. With over 18 years of teaching experience, Dr. Munde's research interests includes fuzzy information measures, decision making, coding theory, business analytics, machine learning, and text mining. Now, I would like to invite Dr. Anjali Munde to start with first session on machine learning algorithm logistic regression. Ma'am, unmute yourself.
I'm not, yeah, now I'm able to unmute. Yeah, okay. Let me share the screen. Yeah, are the slides visible?
Yes.
Okay. Very good evening to all. Myself, Dr. Anjali Munde. I will be taking today's session on machine learning for predictive analytics. It's an honor and privilege to be invited as a resource person for the FTP program, Unlocking Educator Potential, Essential Data Analytical Skills, organized by MAHARAJA SURAJMAL Institute. So today's session will be conducted to develop some understanding on machine learning for predictive analytics. Dr. Gaurav has already shared my brief profile, so let us go ahead and walk through some of the topics for today's session. So the key topics for today's session will include introduction to machine learning, and here we will be getting to know about how the machines learn from data in order to make predictions. We'll try to get hold of some applications of machine learning, that how in your real life, day-to-day life, how you are using actually those applications which are making use of those ML algorithms. Further, we'll try to explore on the different types of machine learning, which include supervised and unsupervised machine learning algorithms. We'll try to have a look into some of those diverse problems under both supervised and unsupervised learning. And further in the session, we will be getting to know about the classification models, particularly focusing on logistic regression, so that we can kind of demonstrate the predictive modeling. Here, I'll kind of walk you through the algorithm, how it works, what are those classification models, and further, once we know the algorithm, we kind of also evaluate the performance of the algorithm in terms of whether the model was able to, demonstrate a good predictive performance or not. So for that, there are various evaluation matrices, particularly the performance matrices, which helps us in evaluating the model effectiveness. So we'll kind of discuss few of those performance matrices. So I hope the session will kind of help you in, getting to know about those practical skills, all these cutting edge machine learning techniques that you can further incorporate into your teaching as well as research. Right. So when we say machine learning, I'm sure most of you are already aware about these buzzwords like big data, artificial intelligence, machine learning. So how we can kind of, relate this to our day-to-day life? Most of you, when you shop online, maybe, sometimes you check some items on Amazon or Flipkart or Myntra, right? But you don't buy a product then and there. And then the other day, maybe when you are watching a YouTube video, you kind of suddenly see that the same particular item advertisement starts popping up on the YouTube video, or maybe the Instagram, if you are, browsing to Instagram or Facebook. So we kind of, always see the same advertisements on different platforms. So how does this happen? So this basically kind of happens because Google, they track your search history, and then they start recommending ads which are based on your search history. And this is one of the coolest applications of machine learning. And this is how the product recommendation uh, works, right? So there are many more other applications which we come across in our day-to-day life while we are browsing the net or streaming over the web. So let me also walk you through this particular applications of machine learning. So most of us, I'm sure all of you must be, watching a lot of content over Netflix. And Netflix is also kind of one of the applications of machine learning where they are kind of recommending, right? They are kind of recommending different kind of sometimes, when you watch a TV content, show, or movies, and Netflix the other day, they starts recommending you the similar kind of genre. If you were watching some action movie, then they start recommending you some movies related to the action genre, or maybe, to other genres, fiction, science, family drama. So how does this Netflix algorithm works? Netflix algorithm is based on recommender system. So what do they do is they kind of constantly gather massive amount of data about the user's activity. When we say user's activity, it kind of keeps a record of what kind of content you are watching. Are you watching, maybe TV shows on weekdays, and maybe you are, watching movies over the weekends, and what day, what time, the kind of your searches, uh, your browsing behavior or your scrolling behavior. So what do they do is they collect all this data for each subscriber, and then they use their recommender system, and along with those applications, they kind of suggest you those different series or movies. So this is also one of those application areas of machine learning. Yeah, Amazon Alexa, which is a kind of natural language processing applications of ML, which is more towards the domain of text mining, because this one has those advanced level, virtual assistant, which not just only plays songs for you from the playlist, but nowadays they can also kind of do lot other activities as well. Be it they can maybe book a cab for you, or track your health, or at times you can connect with the other IoT devices at home. So the Amazon Alexa is also based on machine learning, and along with that, it works with text mining in the area of natural language processing. And then comes one of the very, very important applications of machine learning, wherein Gmail is kind of using ML algorithms where they want to filter out those spam emails. So they kind of start analyzing the emails in real time, and then they kind of classify them either as spam mails or non-spam mails. What do? Is they look into the content in terms of there are various filters with which they work. They kind of keep a record of when there is an email received, what is the, are there any kind of blocklisted words such as like wow, congratulations. And then based on other aspects, along with a lot of filters, they calculate what is called a spam score. So based on the spam score value, they kind of filter out an email as whether it should land into your inbox or into your spam folder. So lower is the spam score, so higher is the probability that it will land into your inbox, and higher the spam score, then it will land into your spam folder. And many more other applications, as you can see here, including the Google Map, which kind of keeps a track of the historical data of a particular route over time, and then they kind of help you in after collecting all this data about the traffic, they kind of start making predictions about the upcoming traffic, or sometimes also adjusting the route according to it. So Google Map is also kind of making use of the applications. And then one of the most common applications of machine learning is in Facebook. You must have found that when you upload a picture, it kind of starts suggesting you how you can, these are the suggested friends that you would like to tag in the picture. So how all this works is all this is this kind of recognition of faces and identifying which person is in the picture. This is one of the very famous Facebook's project, which is called Deep Face, and Deep Face kinds of helps in recognizing the face of an individual in the picture, and then it starts suggesting you that this is the person that is being tagged, can be tagged in the picture. Okay. And of course, product recommendation, spam filter, Google Map, all these kind of are some of the applications of machine learning. Now, one question that most of us kind of creates curiosity in our mind is that why do we kind of need the machine learning algorithms when we have a range of traditional statistical models, right? So one of the reasons when it comes to making use of the ML algorithms over the statistical models is the kind of data that we are generating or creating over the last decade. So when we talk about big data, it kind of talks about the data which is in zettabytes. So because of this enormous data that is being generated in the last decade. That is why there is this need of the ML algorithms, which kind of works with the large data sets, and the computational power is also kind of very strong. And thereafter, it works really well in predictive modeling. So let me walk you through some of the online, activities which we are, kind of communicating with each other in today's day and age. Most of these online activities include the social media, right? So most of us are kind of interacting these days through social media or through, streaming content, online podcasting, and maybe other activities. So over the last 10 years, if you see the data projected in this graph, it suggests that digital engagement activities have increased by 100 and 1,000 percentage points. So if you look into the graph, it kind of helps you in assessing how much data was generated during this decade. And we can see some of the details from the graph as well, which shows that if I look here, can you see that 90% of today's data was generated in the last 2 years alone? So if you look into here, in 2010, it was only 2 zettabytes of data that was generated. For your knowledge, 1 zettabytes is 10 to the power 21 GB, right? So maybe you can kind of anticipate how big, how enormous this is. And when we look into 2023, we see that around 120 zettabytes of data was generated online. So it means in the space of maybe 13 years, the global data has increased by 60 times, right? Starting from 2010, 2 zettabytes, and 2023, reaching to 120 zettabytes. Whereas in 2024, again, we observed an increase, almost close to 150 zettabytes. And by 2025, we are expecting to generate around 180 zettabytes of data. Yeah. So maybe you may not feel how bigger these numbers are. So let me also share another visualization with you to illustrate the facts. So this is one of the infographics, Data Never Sleeps, which is illustrating how data is generated each minute of the day. And this survey was conducted in the year 2021. So here we have all the information regarding how much of data is being generated per minute of the day across the various channels like the YouTube or the Google, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram. So you kind of explore and understand that around, half of the internet data traffic is coming from the videos. Videos are accounting for over half of the internet data traffic. And then watching YouTube videos, maybe, can increase the consumption to around 500 MB of data per hour. Then we have other platforms like Spotify, Zoom, Teams, Netflix, which are also kind of consuming a lot of data per minute. So we have the record here for your kind of information for you to look into and anticipate how enormous data is being kind of generated. So moving with this, getting to know about that over the last decade, we have this enormous data generated over the various digital platforms. So we kind of, think about how well we can use these data sets, which can help the managers in data-driven decision making. And for this, we kind of explode on the machine learning algorithms. So my next slide kind of helps you in understanding that how we can kind of use the data sets that we have been observing, that they are being generated in this much quantity, how we can use them. And it could be in the various areas, including, in the area of marketing, finance, based on what kind of applications areas we are looking into. One of the very common application areas is wherein the banks, right? Whenever we apply for a loan, we need to get a credit check, right? So there's something called a credit scoring, which is the task of checking the consumer's credit history. So maybe the bank has kept the threshold that if the credit score is greater than 600, maybe they will approve the loan. If the credit score is maybe less than 500, then they will reject the loan. And if they cap that, if the credit score is in the range of 500 to 600, maybe they will review the loan application of the customer and then take the decision of approving or rejecting the loan. So here, what we are doing is we are kind of developing a predictive model that can help in making the prediction that how likely a customer or an applicant is going to default, right? And like this, there are many other application areas which helps in kind of understanding that how we can build predictive models that can help us in making predictions, right? One of the applications area are in the retention campaigns where the business would like to. It's very common problem in telecom industry where they want to make predictions that how likely a customer is going to churn, right? So they are more interested in making the predictions that which customers are more likely to churn. So you kind of use the predictive analytics where you use those already developed predictive models and then apply those models in making the predictions whether the customer will be a churner or a non-churner. Similar to that, maybe a marketing campaign. Suppose they want to measure or they want to find out which of the customers are more likely to respond, to a particular campaign. So they will look into the historical data, maybe a campaign that was launched last year, and using the historical data, they will kind of make the predictions and find out which of the customers would be, likely to respond and which of the customers would be non-responders. So these are some of the applications areas in which you can make use of the machine learning. So it's kind of a field of artificial intelligence. Okay, artificial intelligence is a bigger set and machine learning is a subset. And machine learning is all about where the machine here is basically your computer, your laptop, okay, where you are feeding the data. So the computer, it learns from the data, right? So what you are doing is you are feeding data into the machine, and the machine is learning over the time from that data, then you are using a model, you are building a model. We'll get to know about what kind of models we kind of build here, okay? And that particular algorithm or model that you are building, that will help you in analyzing the patterns in the data, or it will help you in making predictions or decisions, right? So that is basically what we refers to predicting the outcome. So machine learning in essence is that it's all about training the machine to learn from the data, okay, and then improve their performance over time without being explicitly programmed. So you don't have to, every time program it. You are kind of making it learn over a period of time. And how? Through the data, by feeding data, right? And then helping it to improve its performance over the time. And this includes creating algorithms or models that will kind of analyze the data for you and make predictions. Okay. Now, when we talk about machine learning, then there are these different types of machine learning, which are broadly categorized into supervised machine learning and unsupervised machine learning. So when we say supervised machine learning, as the name is self-explanatory, it means that the machine is learning under supervision. By supervision, we mean that you are making the predictions with the help of a labeled data set. Now, when I use the term that supervised machine learning contains a model that is predicting with the help of a labeled data set, what do we mean by labeled data set now? Now, when we say the data set is labeled, this means we already know our target variable. Let's talk in very simple language. Let's say you want to teach a child to recognize apples and oranges. Okay. So what do? You start showing them pictures of labeled apples and pictures which are labeled as oranges. And then you keep on showing them those pictures until they learn the difference. Okay. And this in machine learning is called supervised learning, where the model learns from a labeled example in order to make the predictions. Whereas when I talk about unsupervised learning, this is the one in which the machine uses unlabeled data. Unlabeled data means when you do not know what is your target variable. So you have a data set which has a lot of variables. Some of your variables are your input variables, and suppose you have one as your target variable. Input variable basically are your set of independent variables, right? So in statistics, we use the term independent and dependent variables, whereas here we are using the terms independent variables are your input variables and dependent variable is your target variable, right? So you have a lot of input variables. Let's say you want to make a prediction where you want to predict on the basis of various factors, such as the age of the person, the income of the person, maybe his gender, his, lot many other features, suppose you are using. And using these input variables, age, income, and gender, let's say, you are trying to predict whether the customer is a responder or non-responder, right? So here, my target variable is the class responder, non-responder. Okay. So in this data set, I know my target variable. So this will be considered as a labeled data set. Whereas if I have a set of variables with me, maybe a lot of variables, age, gender, income, maybe house, marital status, and lot many. And you do not know what is your target variable, right? That kind of data set would be considered as an unlabeled data set. So what happens in unsupervised learning? We are using unlabeled data set, and the machine is trying to find a pattern in the unlabeled data set. Let's say, take the same example. When we were giving the child, remember last example, we were showing the child the pictures labeled as apples and oranges. But this time, let's say we are giving the child a basket of mixed fruits. Okay. And then we ask them to group them. Right? We didn't label them as apples, oranges. We just give them a mix, basket of mixed fruits containing apples as well as oranges. So what the child will do is maybe he will look into those fruits and looking into maybe the shape, color. So they will put all apples in one group and maybe they will put all oranges in the other group, just based on their similarity, right? So in machine learning, unsupervised learning, which works with the data set which is not labeled, it helps you in finding patterns in the data. So you will be able to uncover trends and patterns in the data set, which is not having any prior labels. So this is just a overview about the supervised and unsupervised learning. Let me, in the next set of slides, elucidate more on the different types of supervised learning algorithm. And in today's session, particularly, we will be working with one of the supervised machine learning algorithms, which is the classification problem. And under that, I will be covering the first one of the algorithms, which is the logistics regression, right? Right. So this is the next set of slide, which helps us in understanding the different types of supervised machine learning. So there are two types of supervised machine learning. One of them is classification model, and the other one is regression. Regression, I think most of you are already familiar with. It is one of those statistical techniques which helps us in predicting the output variable. Suppose you want to predict the income of a person, right? Based on different factors, you use the regression analysis, right? So particularly, how do we differentiate between the classification and regression model? Classification model is used when the target variable, that is the output variable, is categorical. And it can have two or more than two classes. For example, in the previous set of examples that I gave, we were kind of making the prediction whether the customer will be a responder or a non-responder, right? So I was making the prediction for the target variable, which had classes, responder, non-responder, based on various input variables such as his age, income, gender, right? So when your target variable is categorical in nature, and if it has two classes or more than two classes, you use classification models. Suppose you want to predict whether the customer is churner or non-churner. So your target variable is categorical with two classes. Same ways you want to predict whether your applicant or customer will be a defaulter or non-defaulter. So again, this is a classification problem because the target variable is categorical in nature with two classes. You can also build classification models in which the target variable can have more than two classes. Let's say you want to predict the income classified as low income, medium income, high income. right? So for those also, you can build the classification models. And regression, as I said, it's kind of when your output variable is a numeric or continuous variable, right? So when your output variable is categorical, you use classification model. And when you want to, your output variable is continuous, then you use regression model. And here are some of the examples for the same. So as you can see, suppose we want to predict whether a mail will be a spam or a non-spam mail. So what do? Is we first teach the machine that what is a spam mail, right? And how do we do that? This is done based on a lot of spam filters, which include that, okay, I will review the content of the mail. You will be reviewing the mail header. You will look for certain keywords or some blacklist filters which are already being used in those spam mails. So all of these features will be used to score the mail, right? As I already told you, you will calculate a spam score. And then based on this spam score value, you will kind of make the prediction whether your email will be a spam mail or not a spam mail. So lower the total spam score of the email, the more likely it is not a spam, right? Whereas when you have this model built, now let's say a new mail comes in, right? There's a new incoming mail. So what will the algorithm do? It will calculate the spam score of the new incoming mail. And then based on that, it will take the decision whether the new mail, should it land it in your inbox or should it go it in your spam folder, right? And then regression, that's quite straightforward, that let's say we were kind of making prediction for the humidity based on the temperature, right? So you kind of feed the variables into the model and they kind of learn the relationship between them. And then it's very easy to predict the humidity based on the given temperature value, right? So that is your regression model. So far, we kind of introduced to the machine learning algorithms. Thereafter, we also discussed about the different types of ML algorithms, which are classified as supervised and unsupervised. Under supervised machine learning algorithms, we have classification models and regression. Under the unsupervised machine learning algorithms, we have these two techniques, which are referred as the clustering technique and the association rules. Now, when we talk about the clustering technique is basically the algorithm in which we divide the objects into clusters, right? And they are divided into clusters in such a way that all those objects which are similar to each other, they are a part of one cluster, and those which are dissimilar to each other, they belong to another clusters, right? So that is clustering. And then we have the association rules. Association technique is basically a rule-based machine learning technique, which helps you in finding out what is the probability of co-occurrence of item in a collection. Just assuming that you wanted to find out that what if the customer has bread, butter, and milk in his basket. Another customer has bread, milk, rice, and butter in his basket. So let's say a new customer purchases bread. So based on the association rule, you will be able to predict what is the likelihood of the customer who purchase bread, that he will also purchase milk. Okay, so association rules are wherein you are finding out what is the customer behavior. That is, you are kind of analyzing his basket, and on the basis of that, you are finding the likelihood, that what would be the likelihood of co-occurrence of the other item in his basket. Whereas when we talk about the clustering technique, the first image which you see here, this is kind of illustrating that, let's say there was a telecom company and they want to reduce their customer churn rate. Okay. So they studied the customer behavior. Okay. And then based on that, they segmented the customers into clusters, cluster A, B, and C. So the graph which you see here, where do you see there are these customers which are grouped into cluster A, cluster B, cluster C. So here, what do we observe is the graph is constructed on the base of the call duration and the internet usage. So there were these two input features, okay, the total call duration and the internet usage. And based on that, we have kind of grouped the customers into these three clusters. So if I look into the group A customers, they kind of look like they are using more data, right? Because internet usage is higher. And they also have very high call duration, right? Okay. Then we have group B customers. If you look into group B customers, do you see that they are kind of having very heavy internet usage and their call duration seems to be pretty low. And then we have group C customers. Group C customers seems to have very high call duration and the internet usage seems to be pretty low, right? So based on the insights that will be drawn from these clusters that has been created using the clustering techniques. So there are different clustering techniques, right? Due to paucity of time, I cannot kind of cover all those, right? I'll just give you some idea so that you can explore after the session. So there are various clustering techniques. One of the most popular ones are hierarchical clustering, K-means clustering, and there are many other as well. So that will kind of cluster, like in this example, you see a group of customers that has been, divided into these three clusters. So now, what will the telecom company do after drawing insights from this? They will kind of, start retaining the customer so that the customer doesn't churn. So for group A customers, what do you think? What they will do is maybe they will give them more data because they have high internet usage, and also they would like to give them some, high call duration packages because their call duration also seems to be pretty high. Whereas for group B customers, since they seem to have high internet usage, maybe the telecom company will give them more data benefits plans, right? And for group C customers, since they kind of are consuming more call durations, so maybe for group C customers, the telecom company will offer them cheaper call rate plans, right? Right. So this is all about the machine learning algorithms, and I've just introduced some of them. There are many more algorithms, like for classification models also. I'll be taking on logistic regression, but there are many other classification models such as the decision trees, the random forest, KNN algorithm, and many other ensemble techniques as well. Okay, moving further, I would also like to draw your attention towards one of the softwares that is a must learn, skill for those professionals who want to, pursue their careers in the area of data analytics domain. So Python is one of the, programming languages, which is working really well with the machine learning algorithms, and it's quite easy languages to learn. And I'm sure most of you must be familiar with one of the softwares for data analysis, be it SPSS or RStudio or maybe Python. So I would be kind of demonstrating one of the case studies, maybe not in today's session, maybe in the next session of mine, which is scheduled on 23rd of January, where I'll be giving you a hands-on session on Python, where I'll walk you through the Python code book, where there'll be this data set. Okay, maybe I'll share the data set with you before the next session. So if you are interested, you can install the Python software. Maybe I can also share the installation guide with the organizers. They can share it with you along with the data set. So that session will help you in kind of building the logistic regression model, and it will include the hands-on session using the Python software, right? So why Python? Because as I mentioned, it is very easy to implement. It is open source. It has very impressive libraries, which kind of, works really well with the machine learning algorithms. It has these are some of the libraries which are the popular. We have NumPy, SciPy, Panda, Scikit. For visualization, we have Matplotlib, Seaborn. So maybe in the hands-on session, you can see that how we are using these libraries in order to build the models, evaluate the performance of the models, or in order to do the visualizations, right? In order to do exploratory data analysis. So there are various libraries that can be used for doing the data, pre-processing as well as building the ML algorithms. So for we kind of, as I mentioned, at every stage of data analysis, we make use of the Python libraries. So what kind of things are required? So we usually do data mining along with data pre-processing, also kind of, do data modeling. And another ways of how Python is being used for data analysis is where we do a lot of data visualizations, right? So maybe I can better help you in presenting all these things when we plan to do our hands-on session, the next session that I will be conducting. Okay, right. Moving on further. Yeah, so we have time. We have the classification model. So as I introduced to you the supervised machine learning algorithms, and under the types of supervised machine learning algorithms, we discussed about the classification models, right? So if you can just quickly recapitulate, classification models are the one in which the output variable is categorical, right? Which has two or more than two classes. So you can have binary classes or more than two categories as two classes as well, right? And before we jump into logistic regression, let me quickly help you in understanding the classification models with the help of this example. Yeah, so as I was telling you that in classification model, the output variable is categorical in nature, right? Which has two or more than two classes. So let's try to understand the classification model with this particular illustration. So let's say you have this marketing database, okay? And in this marketing data base, I hope you can see there are two tables presently that are on the slides, right? So this first table, which you see, this one is including the historical data with the target variable. What is our target variable? The one which is showing whether the customer will be a responder or a non-responder. Okay, so this means yes refers to that the customer, in the past responded to the marketing campaign, and no here is representing that in the past, since this is historical data, therefore when the marketing campaign was launched last year, so we already have the record of it, right? So we are using that historical data, and then based on that we are building the model. And then further, when we have the current data with us, can you see the second table? Yeah. So this is the current data. We don't have the target variable, right? So what we are doing is we are using the historical data, and then we will use the historical data in order to build the model. And then when we have the current data with us, that will help us in making prediction that whether this new customer, which has age 30 years old, his income is 41,000 maybe per month, and he lies in this class of tin member, right? Suppose I have these variables in the marketing database. I'm sure all of you know the customer has a unique identifier. So the first column represents the customer ID. Then we have the other variable, the age of the customer. Third variable, the income of the customer. And then we have another variable called class, which is kind of some indication of the class of customer, whether they are a gold member, tin member, silver member, right? It has these three categories. And then we are using these input variables in order to make the prediction whether the customer will churn or not churn. Okay, so this is how the model will work. The classification model will work. It will make use of the historical data, and you build a model on the historical data. And then let's say a new customer comes in, you should be able to plot the profile of that new customer. Okay, and then based on that, that is based on the model that was built on the historical data, we use that model in order to make prediction for all the new customers that have come up this time. And this is basically the approach for building the classification models. Okay, and now we introduce one of the classification problems, one of the classification models, sorry, which is the logistic regression model, which is based on classification problem. So here, again, I've taken the same example to illustrate the logistic regression model. So we have these three variables: age of a person, his income, and his class. So two variables are numeric and one of the input variable is categorical. Okay. So you decide on whether to use classification model or whether to use regression model based on your target variable, not based on your input variable. Okay, so your input variables could be a mix of both numeric or categorical, but if your target variable is categorical, you need to use classification model. And if your target variable is numeric, you make use of the regression model. Okay. So let's say we were predicting whether the customer will churn or not. Okay. And we have three input variables: age of a person, income, and his class. Okay. So we have this historical data. Okay. We look into this historical data and we see that this historical data, just for understanding, I've taken the record of only 5 customers. Okay. But in real life, when you work with these kinds of models, you work with a data set including the record of 50,000 customers, 90,000, or maybe over a lakh as well. Okay. But just for understanding, we have taken, let's say, the historical data has these 5 customers, right? And from the historical data, we already know that which one will churn or not churn, right? So what we will be doing is we will use a model which will kind of build a function, okay, which will estimate the probability of responder or non-responder for each of these customers. That is, what we are doing is we are kind of developing a function here that will estimate the probability of class. Here, the probability of class would be whether the customer is a responder or non-responder. Or maybe other times, you can also develop a function that can estimate the probability whether the customer will be a defaulter, non-defaulter, whether he will be a churner or non-churner, right? So this probability value will help you to understand which customer is more likely to be a responder and which one is less likely to be, responder based on the model. So our idea here is that we have a function, as you see here, this is the function, and we use this function to estimate the probability of the class using the input variables. In this case, the input variables are age, income, or the class. Let's say we have a response model in which we have the first variable age, income, and class. Okay. So what we will do, we will develop a function so that when I know the age of the person, his annual income, and his class, then I should be able to estimate what is the probability he is going to be a responder or non-responder. So that in future, if a new customer comes in, okay, and I just plug in his age, income, and class into the already developed predictive model, I should be able to predict the probability whether he will respond or not respond. Okay. Now, the issue here is that it is not possible to model the probability directly into this equation. So therefore, we do some kind of mathematical modification. So what do we do is, in logistic regression model, we convert this probability into something called log of odds, which involves first converting the probability into odds and then converting odds into log of odds. Because logic is better in explaining to the general people who do not have statistics or analytics background. So that is why we kind of use the logistic regression model, which helps us in finding out the probability of whether the customer will be a responder or non-responder. So what you get is like this. You get a curve for log odds, which covers the range from minus infinity to plus infinity. And that is, we have found this kind of function. This is called a sigmoid function, which kind of converts the probability from 0 to 1 to basically covering minus infinity to plus infinity value. Okay, so this is how it kind of works. It first calculates the log odds of the event and then does the transformation of the probability. So if you want to predict whether the customer will be a responder based on their income, so logistic regression will estimate the log odds of the responding. Now, this is regarding building the model, that is getting to know about the algorithm. It goes, if you want to explore more in order to dive deep into the algorithm, maybe you can also look into more insights from the same. Okay, there are lot many examples that will help you in illustrating this, and a lot of mathematical equations involved in order to do the transformation of converting probability into odds and odds into log odds. So this is regarding the algorithm. The next part of the session, I would like to also cover that, okay, so we have, already an algorithm that has been built. So let's say we build the logistic regression model, right? But, oh, so sorry, yeah. But it's not only about building the model, okay, using the historical data, but we also need to check whether the model is a good model or not. That is, we are kind of, evaluating the model performance in terms of how accurate the model was in predicting, whether the customer was responder or non-responder. So whenever you are building these kinds of predictive models, it's essential that you measure how the model performs on the new data. Okay. You just cannot rely on building the model using the historical data until and unless you have not evaluated the performance of the model on the unseen data, the new data. Okay. Why this is important? Because you want to ensure that the model generalizes well, okay, and it doesn't just memorize the training data. Okay. So for evaluating the classification model performance, there are some steps, including the first step being when you split the data set. Okay. You decide on the data set split up. So general rule of thumb is that when you have a data set with more than 1,000 rows, okay, and each class has 50 or more than 50 cases, you consider it to be a large data set. Okay. And whenever you have large data set, for large data sets, we use this data set splitting up into what is called training set and testing set. Okay. Commonly, what we do is we keep aside some data. Okay. We do not use it to build the model. And this data is called testing data set. Whereas the part of the data which we are using to build the model, that is known as the training data set. So in Crux, we can say the training data set is used to build the model and testing data set is used to evaluate the performance of the model. Okay. Now, different analysts have different approaches, but commonly, when we split the data set, we kind of keep 80% of records in the training data set and 20% in the testing data set. However, you may find some analysts using the approach where they split it into 70% training and 30% testing, right? Sometimes you also kind of, if you want to compare the performance of the model, you can, just kind of explore by splitting one time 80-20, 70-30, 90-10, and then see if you are able to improve the performance of the model. So that can also be improved upon, right? Okay, so this is about splitting the data set into training and testing set. And when do we use this? When we have large data sets, okay? Whereas when you are working with small data sets for maybe medium-sized data sets. So what is the definition for small or medium-sized data sets? Which have maybe 100 to 1,000 observations, okay? So with these small to medium-sized data sets, we have the cross-validation technique, which is used to evaluate the performance of the model. So here, what do we do is, we split the data into these K size folds, okay? Instead of splitting the data into training and testing set, which is done when you have large data sets, okay? But when you have small or medium-sized data sets, you use the cross-validation technique, which is where you divide your data set into K equal size folds, okay? And then the model is trained and tested multiple times, each time on a different fold. So what we are doing is, let's say we are dividing this data set into 5 folds, okay? So what we will do, we will split the data into 5 equal size folds. We will train the model on 4 folds and test it on the remaining 1 fold. Okay. And then we repeat this process 5 times using a different fold as a test set. So you can see in iteration 1, we have kept this as the test set and remaining 4 as training. Then in the iteration 2nd, this is kept as the test set and remaining are training and same base, right? So we repeat this. And after all iterations, we compute the mean performance across the 5 folds, or maybe whatever you have defined 10 folds, 30 folds, okay? So this is regarding the cross-validation technique. Now moving ahead, when we divide the data set into training and testing set, we were actually trying to work towards evaluating the performance of the model, right? And one of the prerequisites before we jump into evaluating the performance of the model is that we first split the data set, okay? Either using training testing split or using the cross-validation technique. But when it comes to evaluating or assessing the performance of the model, that is checking the quality of the model, we have various evaluation matrices, so to say, the performance matrices, which can help you in finding out whether the model that you build, let's say we have built logistic regression model on the data set, okay? And now I want to evaluate whether this model is, has performed well or did it perform poorly, okay? So what I will do, I will use the various evaluation matrices in order to check the performance of the model. So for the classification models, the evaluation matrices, I'm kind of discussing only few of the evaluation matrices, but there are many more. So maybe you can explore about those other performance matrices after the session as well. So some of the evaluation matrices that I'd like to discuss would include the confusion matrix. And then we will also I'll just walk you through some of the other basic measures, which includes the accuracy, one of the performance matrices for classification model, and error rate, sensitivity, and as well. Maybe you can explore on the AUC rock curve, which is also used for evaluation, which is kind of a visualization that helps you in evaluating the performance of the model. Yeah, the rock curve. So let me kind of elucidate the confusion matrix that kind of helps you in understanding how we can evaluate the performance of the model. So this confusion matrix could be quite confusing at times because of some of the terms that we use here. But if you pay attention, it's quite straightforward. So let's understand this confusion matrix, which is one of the performance matrices that helps us in evaluating that how our model has performed, or it's, as I told you, it is one of the tools, performance evaluation tools, right? So this, what you see here in the image, is kind of representing the confusion matrix. And if you see here, this matrix is a 2x2 matrix because in this particular illustration, we are representing a confusion matrix in which the target variable has two classes. What are the two classes? Positive and negative. Okay. Then if you look further, we have column-wise representation and row-wise representation. So the columns represents the actual values of the target variable, and the rows, if you look here, they are representing the predicted value of the target variable. And then do you see in between the cells, we have some terminologies such as true positive, false negative, and true negative. So let's quickly try to understand what do we mean by true positive, true negative. And maybe quickly, if time permits, I will try to explain it to you with the help of the example. Okay. Now, when we say true positive basically means, let's say you have the example that I was predicting whether the email in your inbox, whether it is a spam mail or not spam mail. Okay. So my classification model has a target variable with two classes. So positive here, in order to explain you, could be a spam mail, and negative means it is not a spam mail. So true positive means actually the mail was spam and the model also predicted as a spam mail. Okay, that is what we refer to as true positive. So basically this is correct classification. Okay, that is why it's highlighted in green. And if you come to this cell, which is true negative, so what does this mean? This means actually the mail was not a spam and the model also predicted it as a non-spam mail. Okay. So therefore, this diagonal in the confusion matrix actually represents the correct classifications. Whereas if you look into the false positive means actually the mail was not a spam, but the model has predicted it as a spam mail. So this is basically similar to the type 1 error in the statistics that we usually study. And when we talk about false negative, this one is that actually the mail was a spam, but the model predicted it as a non-spam mail. Okay, so this is basically the confusion matrix in which what you will find is across the diagonal, you will have the correct classifications, and here you have the incorrect classifications. So this confusion matrix will give you a holistic view of how well our classification model is performing. Okay. Yeah, let me also discuss sensitivity and specificity. Now, when we talk about accuracy will come from getting the these correct classifications divided by the sum total. That is, it is the percentage of the correct classification. And error rate would be from this diagonal. That is, it will give you the percentage of incorrect classification. Now, when we say sensitivity, okay, sensitivity means among the mails which were spam, what is the percentage of correct classification? Okay, so this basically refers to that among those which were positive, that is, among the mails which were spam, what is the percentage of correct classification? So, from the positives, we will compute the correct classifications. And specificity means among the mails which were not spam, what is the percentage of correct classification? That is, how well the model has correctly classified among those mails which were non-spam, how many they have classified correctly, and what is the percentage of it. Okay, so that is how the sensitivity and specificity kind of differentiate. That sensitivity kinds of answers to the question. I am kind of finding out that, okay, now tell me, after I get to know this is the percentage of correct classification of the model and incorrect classification, now tell me that among my spam mails, how many did the model correctly classified? And specificity means negatives. That is, among my non-spam mails, the model correctly classified how much percentage. Okay, that is the specificity and sensitivity for you. Right. And this is what I was trying to kind of illustrate using the confusion matrix. So just assuming that suppose that we had a data set in which there were 100 emails we received. Okay. We used a classification model to predict whether the mail will be spam or non-spam. And let's say this is the outcome. You got true positive 40. That means the model correctly classified 40 spam mails as spam. Okay. False negative 10 means, just a second. Yeah. False negative 10 means the model missed 10 spam mails and classified them as not spam. False positive 5 means model wrongly flagged 5 non-spam emails as spam mails. And true negative 45 means the model correctly classified 45 non-spam mails as non-spam mails. Okay, so the diagonals one is, okay, error rate, as I told you, when you have this confusion matrix, let's say this example, okay, let me take the same example. So the diagonals represents the accuracy of the model, which is the percentage of correct classification. So if I want to calculate the percentage of correct classification, it will be 40, the true positive, plus 45, okay, divided by the sum total. So if you quickly sum this up, that is 40 plus 45, it comes out to be 85, right? And 85 divided by 100. So what is the percentage? Accuracy comes out to be 85%. Okay. And error rate is the incorrect classification. So which is computed by this diagonal, false positive plus false negative. So basically, your correct classification should be always higher than the incorrect classification. That is what it means in general language. So accuracy of this particular predictive model came out to be how much? 85%. And remaining 15% would be the error rate of the model. Let's say you have come up with a predictive model in which the accuracy turned out to be maybe 70%. Okay. So how much will be the error rate? The remaining 30%. Okay. That is how it is. Yeah. Right. I hope that helps. Yeah. So that's all I think from my side in terms of covering the fundamentals of machine learning. And as I told you, I have another session that is scheduled for 23rd of January, which is, I think, Thursday. Yeah. So that day, I will be continuing with the same topic, okay, in which we will kind of learn how to build the logistic regression model, okay. Uh, I'll be giving a hands-on Python session where I'll walk you through the Python codebook in which we will learn how do we build the logistic regression model using those Python codes, uh, data split. I'll share those codes in which we will see how we split the data into training and testing set, fit the logistic regression model. Then after that, after we have built the model, we will evaluate the performance of the model. So maybe we will, display some performance matrices such as the accuracy of the model or the confusion matrix, and kind of more, hands-on approach on that day rather than just giving you overview about the, fundamentals of an algorithm. So I'll coordinate with the organizers. I have the data set. Maybe if you want, you can download the data set for that session. And maybe also I can, if some of you have not have prior experience of the Python software, so I can share the installation guide. So kindly ensure that you install the software before the session, because since it's a quite heavy software, so it takes time to install, maybe half an hour or so. So if you can get the software installed before the session, so that day during the session, maybe if you want, you can, uh, you know, uh, implement the codes or just walk through those codes also for understanding part. So that session I will keep for just kind of implementing whatever we have discussed in today's session into practice. Okay. So yeah, so that's all from my side. So thank you so much. I hope you find the session insightful, enriching, and there are lot many things that you would have to, of course, if you are an analytics enthusiast, I would recommend that you go and explore more on various models, and if you can incorporate these into your teaching or research, where you're already working on, various marketing data sets. So why just limit yourself to only, those statistical techniques, but you can go ahead and explore on various advanced ML algorithms, say to so forth, right? Yeah, I think that's all from my side.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for the wonderful session.
Yeah,
Next,
thank
we
you.
have session two. The topic of the session two is system thinking in the operational solutions. The expert is Miss Priya Chetty. Ms. Priya Shetty is the co-founder of Project Guru, a research and analytics firm based in Gurugram since 2012. Over the last 10 years, she has helped companies, banks, academic institutions, and independent researchers to write and publish their papers using a range of research tools like SPSS, Stata, meta-analysis, and NVivo. She also manages Project Guru's YouTube channel, where she speaks about research tips, data analysis, and machine learning. Now, I would like to invite Ms. Priya Shetty to start with session two on machine learning algorithms. On system thinking in the operational solutions. Over to you, ma'am. Let me make you co-host.
Hello, good evening, everyone. That was a very enlightening session by Dr. Anjali. We really learned a lot. about predictive modeling and how we can apply it in even the most complex of problems or even simple problems. And I look forward to Dr. Anjali's next session, and I will be ready with my Python interface by then. All right. Good evening once again, everyone. I hope you're all not too tired to attend my session. I know it's dinner time, family time right now, so I'll try to keep it very interactive for you all so that you can take away as much value as you can from my session. There is a slight correction. My session is on business plan making with uh, advanced applications or operational, applications. So my session is going to be on that. Uh, all right. So if you have any questions, I'm planning to keep the last 5 minutes sort of just for Q&A. If you have any questions, I most welcome you to raise your hand or drop a message in the chat window on this Zoom window. And I would try my best to take all of your questions if you have any. And if you have any observations also, you're most welcome to share it. All right. So let's get started with today's session. I'll share my screen. And just one more point to add here. This is going to be slightly hands-on. So I would like you all to practice as I am showing you the applications. All of them are open source applications, and I'm sure all of you have most access to most of them. Like this is simple MS Excel. So I'm sure all of you who are using your laptops or your computers at the moment to attend this session, you would have access to MS Excel. I'm also using another application called XMind. If anybody has worked with mind maps in the past, you would be familiar with XMind. And lastly, I'm using something called Canva, in which I'm going to show you how to make business plans more interactive, more catchy by using some of these creative websites also. All right, so I'll get started with sharing my screen now. I hope my screen is visible to all of you. I'll just
Yes, ma'am, it is visible.
Thank you so much. I'm just trying to hide this panel. Okay, it looks like, yeah. Right. So these are the 5 elements that we're covering today. First is to understand why a business plan is important. I know that most of you are from academia, and you might ask the question, what is the relevance of understanding business plans for you? But the fact of the matter is that business plans are essential for everyone today, because as we are transitioning to a more complex economy, we can see that more and more students, more and more professors are required to make things like preparing a grant proposal, preparing a research proposal, or preparing a plan for setting up a new laboratory, right? Because universities keep getting funds, external funds, and they want to make the best or optimal utilization of those funds that they're getting. And sometimes it runs in crores, many tens of crores. You hear about IITs, you hear about IIMs. They set up a new lab in their existing facility, which runs into 50 crore, like hundreds of crores, right? So how do they decide where and how to make use of that money is where the part of business plan comes in. Now, business plan is not technically just a business plan anymore. We are using such kind of planning more like operational planning or project management skill for everything we are doing basically in life. When you embark on a new journey, when you start a new venture, you will need to know how it is going to look like a few years down the line. Because if you don't have that clarity, I don't think anybody else would be interested in investing in you, investing their time, investing their money on your idea, right? Even if they are not spending money Even if a new employee is joining you or a new student is joining you on your idea, they would want to have some kind of clarity that what will their future look like 6 months down the line. So in a way, they are investing their time, their skill in working with you. So that is the importance of having a business plan. Next, we are going to see how we can use Excel to create a lot of these project management reports, to create visuals, and basically to create financial planning. And then we are going to see how to perform market analysis, which is very essential before we embark on any new venture, because what are the stakes in the new plan is what we need to be very clear of. I'm sure nobody here would like to give up on their present or a very lucrative future for something that they're not sure of, right? So we need to measure the stakes. We need to measure the scale, that what we are giving up to gain something. It's called a trade-off, right? So that for that, market analysis is very important. And then we're going to see the case study example that I'm sure at least some of you will relate to, that is setting up a skill development center in Delhi. And then I'm going to take that as an example. And I'm keeping it simple because I want all of you to understand a very small business idea and something that you all can relate to. So we're going to take up the example of a skill development center, and we're going to take Delhi as a location, and we will see how we can create from scratch using these applications a business plan for setting up the center in Delhi. And lastly, we are going to prepare product, organizational, operational, and financial plan. These are the 4 pillars of a business plan or any kind of plan, project plan, that is going to add weight and add value to your idea. So these are called the 4 pillars of any operational or project management plan. All right, so I'll just get started with the first part of today. That is why we need business plans. I already gave you an overview why we need business plans. Even doctors, even professors, why do you need business plans, or at least the knowledge of what goes into a business plan. Some of you might already be aware of how to create business plans, and but I hope my demonstration of these applications are going to add some value to your existing knowledge of business plans. Now, why we need business plans is it's basically a report. It's nothing but your idea being copied on pen and paper. When I say pen and paper, it doesn't technically mean that you have a pen in your hand and you keep writing the business plan ideas, right? You don't formulate it with pen and paper anymore. What I mean is that when you have an idea in your mind, it needs to be plastered somewhere so that the whole world has access to it, or at least the world that you are targeting. Because bootstrapping a business is not working anymore. Bootstrapping means when you are starting without any capital, when you have nothing in your pocket and you only have skill, you only have time, right? Many of us are in that situation. We don't want to spend or we don't want to risk investing money in a new project, but we have ample skill, we have plenty of time, and we wonder what to do with it. So that is where a business plan comes in. Nowadays, there are hardly any bootstrapped entities. Most of them, most of the startups that we come across, they take funding from somewhere. Maybe venture capitalists, maybe angel investors, maybe banks, could be another form of financial institution, but help comes from somewhere. The financial help is coming from somewhere. Now, they would be unwilling to take that risk of whether you are going to pay them back that money with an interest, right? With some added benefit, if they don't see the clarity in your idea. That's why a business plan should have these elements: vision and mission. It should have a thorough market research. It should have demonstrate a good product market fit. That means you are demonstrating that what you are coming up with is actually required in that university or in the market or by that customer. That is called the product market fit. Financial management, of course, I think this is the most important pillar of a business plan. Then you should show adaptability. The world is becoming complex and you don't want to be static anymore, right? Products are rapidly changing overnight. So you want to demonstrate in your business plan that you can adapt to the market changes instead of being static. So if you're static, you're stuck. And then you should show that you have a strong team, or at least you have a plan for a strong team. You are going to cultivate, or you pledge that you will have a healthy atmosphere in your company where people would want to join, people will feel encouraged to share their creative side with you. And then networking, you want to show that you have the strong networking prowess, right? Even if you don't come with capital, you are coming with a good and strong network of individuals. And then we have innovation, you need to demonstrate innovation, legal compliance, risk management, milestones, and marketing and branding. Why does this help us? It guides in decision making, because without a plan, your decision making can be weak. If you don't know where you are headed, what you're supposed to do, your decisions can be biased. They will not be objective. That is why a business plan is very important, so that you remain objective throughout your journey. Then it helps secure funding, which I've already explained, and then it identifies risk and opportunities. This is the scale that I was talking about, the trade-off. What are you giving up and what are you getting in return for it? Right. These are the key components of a business plan. So when you get started with a business plan, these are the essential elements, the blueprint, I might add, that your business plan should have. One is business details, which should have the mission, vision, objectives, unique value proposition. It means that given the products existing already in the market, what unique are you offering to your audience? Market analysis, a thorough market report, a market research report of what exactly the situation in the market, what is lacking that your product is required. And there should be a research on your target audiences, demographics, trends, competitors, their trends, their strengths, and their weaknesses. All this helps you come up with a very strong product. So even if you are in the prototype stage, you still know how you can make it perfect if you have the market analysis report. And then we have organization and management. It's very important. This is where you show what your team is going to comprise of. Then we have the marketing and sales strategy, where we are going to explain the 4 Ps. I'm sure at least some of you are aware of 4 Ps: product, price, promotion, and place. This was conceived by Philip Kotler, if I'm not wrong. And a very old marketing principle. It never goes out of vogue, because even today, even though we have so much development around us, we have artificial intelligence coming up, we have Gen Z who have taken over the world, but this is something that remains with us throughout. If you have your 4 Ps sorted, you will be able to go a long way in your journey, right? And then there is the operational plan, where you outline your day-to-day activities, how you're going to deliver your product or your service to your customer. And then we have financial plan, where we detail on how to prepare the income statements, the balance sheets, and the P&L statements. I'm going to show you one by one how to prepare each of these reports, and but we may not be able to cover a few of them, given the paucity of time. I only have about another 1 hour 15 minutes to go, so I'll try to make the most of it, but it is possible that some of them might not be covered. In that case, I will share the resources with the organizers of this session, so that you can access them and practice on your own. And of course, you can reach out to me anytime if you have any questions with any of the remaining ones. All right. So the first part is to create a market analysis. This is consisting of 3 main steps. First is to identify a market gap, that where you are understanding what your existing market is. You find gaps within it, and then you find solutions for it. This is stage 1. Or what I would like to call stage 1. This is I would say, the foundational step in any project plan or any business plan or any operations plan for that matter. Then we have competitor analysis, where you are evaluating the existing options. In case of daily operations, we can evaluate what are the tried and tested operations method, so that you will know how to improve upon it. You need to build upon it. And then we finally have the SWOT analysis, which means strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Again, a very common principle in marketing or even strategic management. We understand why it is very important to conduct SWOT analysis, and before we declare whether my product is going to be whether my product has any weightage in the market, whether it is working or it is not working with our customers. Now, to demonstrate how to do market gap, how to perform the market gap analysis, like I said, we are going to take up the case study example from this point onwards, and I will show you, I will demonstrate using Excel sheets that how we can gather insights from data that is already available in the market. So in this case, I have the idea of a skill development center, right? We want to set up a skill development center in the university or in the market. And let's say the location is Delhi, right? So now I have the idea, right? I want to put up a skill development center because I have a vague opinion that somewhere students are not entirely happy with the skills that they are gaining in their regular educational courses. This is a problem that many of us are grappling with. In fact, even the Ministry of Education, Ministry of HRD, everyone has announced that more needs to be done to develop students' skills, right? Which is why many universities have come up with skill development centers within the campuses, where the sole objective is to provide the relevant skills to the students so that they are industry ready to go into the market. Now, I know this from my background reading. I have done up my reading and I've interacted with people, the stakeholders of this industry, but I do not have the numbers to show for it. So how do I do that? How do I prove that this gap is actually existing in the market? It's not just something I have come up with, right? It's not just in my mind. I need to prove it with numbers. So that's why I have collected a small data set already. I can share it with you all. That data set belongs to the higher education sector of India. We visited the Ministry of Higher Education and Department of Higher Education website, and where they publish information like enrollment data, turnout data, and dropout ratio. So this kind of crucial information is published every year on the website. So what we did was I collected about 5 years data for important things like enrollment for different subjects, different levels, and then the turnout ratio for each of these subjects, the gender disparity, and students coming from lower economic backgrounds, right? So I've collected some of these crucial information, and I'm going to assess this information to see whether my idea actually has any secondary backing, any statistical backing. So now we move on to the Excel part of it. Let me just open the data set that I have. Okay, so this is the data set which I was talking about. The variables which I have, the first one is enrollment versus outturn. This means how many students actually enrolled in the program as compared to outturn. Outturn means how many managed to pass or appeared for the last exam. We all know that not 100% of the students in the undergraduate level or even in the postgraduate level appear for their exams. Many students give up their course midway because they have some financial constraints or they have some commitments, right? So this I have obtained from the website. I will share the link with you all. So we have the enrollment data for the year 18-19 and the outturn of 4 years. I can see that somebody has raised their hand. I will just get back to you at the end of the session and take your questions. Yeah, so we have the outturn. That means how many students managed to go up to the 4th year and appear for the exam. This is nothing but the outturn percentage. That means when we convert the outturn numbers or we compare them to the enrollment data, how much is the percentage? What is the ratio? Let me just make it a little bit neater. Yeah. Yeah, so we can see that it's an average of around 30%, I guess. If we quickly put in formula here, average of these numbers. Yeah, on average, it's only 30% students who enroll at the program who actually appear for the final year of the exam. So that is a very disappointing ratio. This is pointing towards a problem, but what exactly is the problem that I don't know yet? I cannot pinpoint it. So we come to the next thing, which is projected increase in total enrollment. This is the percentage increase that the government is expecting in the enrollment numbers in the coming years. Reasons for dropping out. Now, this is also has been obtained from a government website. These are the common reasons why students drop out of their course. So I have collected information and in which I see that skill is not specifically a problem here, but there are related things which I can connect to skills, like they are not interested in education or they have financial constraint. This is not one of the connected problems. Maybe failure in studies. I would say this is linked to skills. So there are two factors which I think I can link to, and also they are engaged in economic activities, which means that 80% of them prioritize practical and hands-on experience than education. 80% of the people who are dropping out of school or college. This also points to the importance of skills over traditional education. Then we have vocational technical training. That means persons in the age of 18 to 15 to 29 years who have received formal vocational training. I can see that this is the percentage increase, not percentage increase, but the proportion. So I can see that there is a growing trend, but it's better if I show this as a visual. So I will try to plot a graph for this. You just select the data, go to insert and select a bar graph. Yeah, now it's looking a little better. I can see that from 2017 to 2022, there has been a consistent increase in people who have opted for vocational or technical training. And mind you, this is in spite of an event like COVID coming here, right? That did not discourage our students from opting for vocational technical education. So this is encouraging for my business idea. So I can use this visual and plot it in my business plan, a business plan report which I'm making, to prove that my idea has some substance. Likewise, reasons for dropping out, I can create a pie chart out of this and put it in my business report. It's very simple. You just select the data and maybe whatever visual you are interested in, just select that visual. Add a few data labels. We added that outside end. Yeah. So I can see that most of them are not able to attend it because of they are engaged and they have financial constraint, I guess. They have financial constraints, which is the topmost problem, and them not completing their education. So one insight that I can gain from this is that I would probably need to keep my skill development centers offerings economical. It cannot be exorbitant if I want to target the same market because they're already facing some financial constraint. Likewise, I can also use enrollment versus outturn data to even further solidify my business plan, right? My idea for the business plan. This is another data set which I had. It shows how universities are prioritizing infrastructure arrangements in their campuses. So we can see here that the top priority seems to be having separate rooms for girls, conference halls, computer centers, laboratories, having separate toilets, common rooms, playgrounds, and libraries. It's not surprising. These are all the essential things that a college must have, and these are still taking precedence over another. When we come to skill development center, this is existing in some of the colleges, right? We see that it is somewhere in the least important category. I have arranged this in ascending order. I can quickly even arrange this in descending order. Yeah. So if I go from the bottom to the top, I can see that skill development center is somewhere in the bottom. So this is again highlighting the need for skill development centers, further backing my idea, right? So this is the importance of having market analysis, and this is how you need to do market analysis. Identify the sources of information. They have to be credible. You have to obtain them as far as possible from government website, because government data is reliable data. It is widely acknowledged as valid and reliable data. So obtain data from these kind of websites that you can bank upon. Create visuals as far as possible and generate insights from that data. You cannot take the data as it is. So you need to generate some insights like the one which I have showed you here, and create a solid market analysis report out of it based on secondary data. You can also back it up with primary data by taking surveys of students or people whom you would identify as core target audience for your product. For that, you would need to create Google Forms or maybe SurveyMonkey questionnaire and put up questions that would be relevant. Like, do you think you need a business plan? Do you think you need a skill development center? Or what are the existing problems in skill development centers that you are facing? And this kind of insights always give you more value and more robustness to your project idea, right? All right, let's move on to the next step in our plan. Next, we come to competitor analysis. So after having done my preliminary analysis and getting a hang of the market, I am about 10% convinced that, okay, my idea is valid. Now I need to mature it a little bit more by making sure that I have knowledge of what is already existing in the market. Okay, I understand that there is a skill gap. There is a problem, serious problem of students not having sufficient skills to readily go into the workforce without getting any further training, right? So this is a problem, and I'm 10% convinced that this problem exists. How do I make that 20%? Next step is to do competitor analysis. That means very simple. You analyze who are the existing players in the market, and then you analyze what are their offerings to come up with the shortcomings. So what problems are students already facing in the market that they will want to come to you, right? So that is called competitor analysis, from which we are able to create SWOT analysis: strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threat. So let's see how to create competitor analysis. So for this, we need, I don't know how to block this my window. Okay. All right. So for that, we open Excel. These are existing templates in Excel, by the way. I'm not sure how many of you are aware of this. When you open Excel application, you see something called templates when you are trying to open a blank report. And you can simply click on more templates and find whatever it is that you are trying to find. Like I am trying to find a SWOT analysis or competitor analysis. So I can simply search for it in the search tab. It already has a template. Now I can choose from any of them. Let's say I choose this one. Now it's already given me a layout here, right? Quickly, it shows me a SWOT comparison, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And then when I come here to the other sheet, it's showing me competitors' information, where they have different fields. These may not apply to every business idea. So we are going to modify it as per our business idea. Now they have competitors in the rows and they have the fields on the basis of which they will do the analysis in the columns. Now, since I have more fields of comparison than the number of competitors, so I want to kind of flip this. I prefer to kind of flip this. So, let's say, in my case, I do not want to compare the number of employees that the market competitors are offering, their annual sales, the revenue, because I have many online competitors as well, like Udemy, like Coursera. I would not be exactly aware of exactly how much money they are making. And neither am I concerned because I'm only a small player when it comes to them, right? So I am not really concerned with many of these values or these fields that have been entered. So I'm going to customize it as per my business idea and as per my requirement. So let's say I want to check on key product offerings, which is very important. What kind of skill development courses are the existing competitors offering? What target audience is this? Then we have their strengths, their weaknesses, online reviews analysis. That means I am going to check the reviews online on platforms like Google Reviews or Quora or Reddit, where people come and give honest reviews, right? And then we have geographical presence and then their website analysis. I'm going to add a new column here at the bottom. And in the columns, I will identify the players. The first one is, let's see, NSDC. We have IIT and NITs also, which offer such courses. And then there are online players like Udemy and Coursera. So we don't need the rest of the column, so we're going to delete that. And this is where you start typing or start accounting for all the fields. Who are the target audience? Like if I say NLDC mainly targets employment, people seeking employment. So probably falling in the age range 22 to 26 years. Whereas Coursera and Udemy, they start targeting very young people. So I would say 16 to, and they're all senior people, by the way. So 16 to 50 years. And then we have IIT and NIT, which of course targets undergrads and postgrads. So they fall in the age range 18 to 23 years. Likewise, I identify all their key offerings. They offer certified courses, maybe placement assistance, and so on. Udemy and Coursera do not offer them, so I'm going to just enter certified courses. Strengths, huge penetration in India. IITs and NITs, I would say superior branding, and then Udemy and Coursera, free or economical and easily accessible. Right? So likewise, we can also identify the weaknesses for all of them. So this is how you create competitor analysis for any project that you are planning to build. And then we come to SWOT analysis, which can be built upon from this information, from competitors' information. Now, creating strengths and weaknesses for an idea which is very new, which has not found its way to the market yet, is very difficult, because strength can be evaluated only when you internally have applied something, because it's internal to the company, right? That is what strength is. So when I haven't even started my venture yet, when I haven't even got an idea of how well my product is working in the market, I cannot prepare a list of my strengths and weaknesses. So we are going to skip this because our product is very new, and we are going to come to opportunities and threats part. This part. Also, these fields can be changed upon our requirement. Aggressive competitors, successful competitors, and basically use the template as you're getting it, or customize it as per your own need. So I have a filled up sheet for the SWOT analysis of this business idea. We will revisit it if we cover up the other portion and we still have time, then we will come back to it. In the meantime, we'll proceed to the next part of our session for today, which is business description. So after we have finished these portions, I would say I have about a 20% clarity of my business idea now. That means this is how important this is. That means 20% of the business plan's weightage must be allotted to a thorough market analysis. Once we have that, we have the foundation ready for the next step, which is business description. Now, business description is where you are going to put your entire idea, or the soul behind your idea. The soul is very important, because if your soul, or that the foundation of your idea is shaky, then it is possible that even others will not get the message. What is your vision? What is your mission? They will ask you. That is the first question an investor would ask if they're investing in any project or any operational plan or any business plan. The first question they ask is, what is your mission? What is the vision? That is how they connect with the stakeholder, the primary stakeholder, which is the business owner or the would-be business owner, right? So it is very important to have these clearly done. Now, as I show you this, I would request all of you to please use this application if you can. If you have your systems with you, try out this application that I'm going to show. It doesn't matter what you're writing, as long as you have any rough idea, because this is something that you need to practice. How I'm making it, how I'm building it, right? So there's one website which you need to open on your browser. It is called xmind. xmind.com. Right? This is the home page that you will come to. And then I'm already logged in, so I'm not going to, or you can quickly create an account for yourself. Yeah, I'm already logged in, so I'm not going to be able to show you the entire process of logging in, but it's fairly simple. It takes barely 30 minutes to access this system, right? Now, this is something called as mind map. For those who are not familiar with the concept of mind map, we all know that our brain has several nodes, right? And they are all connected. It's like a neural network. We will also learn this in artificial intelligence and machine learning. There's something called as neural network. So our brain is a very big neural network. There are different nodes in our brain. one node has some thought, but the other node has some other thought. Now, because our brain is so complex, we need to connect it so that we are able to see the bigger picture. Because sometimes what happens is in projects or in operations processes, we become so involved in one particular aspect that we forget what was the bigger picture. What is the bigger picture that I had in mind? What is the deadline? Where am I headed? How are the other stakeholders getting affected? This is where mind maps come into play. If we have a mind map, the process of starting a project and ending it where we intended to end it becomes simpler. It becomes very easy to track the entire process. This is not a fancy application. ये बहुत simple application है and anybody can use this application. So I'm just going to show you how to create a mind map and what it looks like. So let's say I want to create a. So basically what I'm trying to show you is how I'm going to create the vision, mission, and objectives of my business report. So let's say I want to study a very basic or generic mind map here that I'm trying to create, right? So this is a very basic mind map. It has only 4 nodes or 4 branches, as you can see. We are going to start filling these up with our idea. Okay. My central idea is to create a skill development center or establish a skill development center in New Delhi. Now, I need to define, first of all, my vision, then my mission, and then my objectives. I don't need the 4th one, so I'm going to delete that. From here, I'm going to extend one node. The node, let's say, my vision is to create a transformational impact in the market. I'm targeting university students who are actually going through some problems. So I want to create a transformational impact. And I have a second vision. So I just add another node here and I call it, I want some recognition in the market. Now this is very, very vague. How do I make it more shapely or more, how do I give it more clarity, right? So I extend this with another node. What do I mean by transformational impact? Let's say I want to empower 1 million students by 2030. Now this is a vision because it's long term. It has a higher agenda, right? A vision is something that is long term. Vision cannot be short term. आपके short term goals हो सकते हैं, पर आपका short term vision नहीं हो सकता है. So I need to make sure that the vision statement that I'm coming up with is feasible in the long term. Okay. When it comes to recognition, let's say I want to be recognized as the top skill provider in urban areas of India. Okay. Simple enough. Now I want to create a secondary node out of this. So I'm going to add more nodes here. Future state. And let's say I have another agenda here, and that is bridging the gap between industry and academia. And another one is model institutions for youth skill development. Now you see what is the difference is here we are more clear. We have a very achievable or you can say tangible outcome of my idea. But here it is more on the surface, like, or you can say it's something that I'm not clear. There's no numbers here, right? You can't see any numbers. So I had two types of visions for my firm. One where I hit the market head on with my numbers, and the second one is a higher agenda or a higher goal that can come from it. That is how you build a vision. But in short, both of them reflect my long-term vision for my company. Next, we come to mission. Let's say I create more nodes from this. One will be core purpose. What is my core purpose? Vision and purpose are very different. Vision is more, I would say, unformed, but in a more pure state. Now, when it comes to mission, यहाँ पे आपका agenda describe होता है. This is where you start getting serious about the numbers because you need to show some achievable, measurable outcomes here. So I say there's my core purpose, and then I'm defining the beneficiaries and my approach to the market. My core purpose is to provide affordable. Remember, I found that many students are dropping out of their courses because they find it unaffordable. So I want to keep my courses affordable. That's how I'm going to tap my market. Affordable and industry-ready skill courses. And another core purpose is to address the problem of employability of youth in our country. We all know there was a recent report, there was a recent market report where the government announced that 65% of India's youth is unemployed at present. That means just imagine how much of our talent is going waste. These are people who are industry ready, or these are people who are at least in the employable range, but they are not participating in active employment. So we know that there's a problem of employability among the youth. So that is something that I'm going to tap into. And then we define the beneficiaries using the same node and say, I'm going to tap undergraduate students because I believe that they are more willing to learn, or that is the right age to learn. And then to partner with key stakeholders to deliver practical skills. Okay, so now I have my vision and I have my mission. I finally need to create objectives. Quickly, I will show you how to create the objectives as well. Your objectives must be smart. This is a very versatile application and you can, experiment with it however you want. Your objectives must be smart. Smart means specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. Whenever you create a project or a project plan, you must make sure that it is the goal or the objective of that project is smart, specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. How do I do that? I set my training goals, short term, 1,000 students by year end. And then my long-term goal comes. Establish presence in 10 cities by 2 years end. These are my objectives. So this is how you create vision, mission, and objectives of any project plan. And from this, you develop something called as a business model canvas, where you define who your key partners are. They can be external to your company, like your government can be a key partner in promoting you among youth, right? And then we have the cost structure where we are defining what are our variable and recurring costs. We define our key activities. Of course, certified programs will be a key activity, but maybe I can also explore an add-on benefit, like they can find placements from the college, or they can find placement from my institute, or while they are pursuing the course, I can give them some hands-on experience where they can go in the market and work on some internship projects, right? So all my key activities are going to be described here. And then key resources, who are going to be the people working in my company, my value-added propositions. To identify this, we have to employ survey. Surveys reflect what is the problem in the existing market from the horse's mouth, or as I call it, right? The customer is in the horse in this case, and they're going to tell you what are the problems they are facing. I can come up with my value proposition only if I have that in hand. And then we have customer relationships, where we define how the customer is coming in and when, the end of the life cycle of the customer's association with us. Then we have the channels, how we are going to reach them, the customer segments. Like I showed you in case of Udemy, it's a different customer segment than NSDC, right? So who are my customer segments? And the revenue stream. It's not necessary that only certified courses are the revenue for me, right? Maybe I'm earning through industry collaborations as well. So whatever is my revenue stream, I defined here. This is something called as business model canvas. It basically reflects how you're creating value. Now, I have created this using Canva, and it's highly recommended that you use such visuals in your business report to make it more appealing to the reader, right? Next, we come to organizational plan, where we define who are the key people who will be working in the company. In this case, the skill development center, who are the key people who will be participating. So we need to show the hierarchical structure of the organization. So it is nothing but an organizational chart where different kinds of people are showing. Now, this depends on many things. Like you might decide that you don't have enough budget, right? You see that you only have maybe 10 lakhs to start off with for this project. So how do you make the most of it? Making sure that you're not wasting those resources, hiring the wrong people or unwanted people in your company. Because this is where most projects are failing, because they are allotting cost, or rather their resources, monetary resources, to the wrong people and to the wrong processes. So having an organizational chart is very important. Now, how do we prepare it? Again, we have to always again use Xmind. Let's say we prepare a new map here. I will quickly show you what can be the possible scenarios of people hired in this case. And maybe you can reflect upon it, or you can share your own insight that this person is needed, this person is not needed, right? Skill Development Center, organizational hierarchy. All right, who are the key people? Let's come to the leadership. The most important part of an organization is the leadership. I'm going to make sure that there is a CEO to take care of our main needs of the company, the one who actually takes the decisions, the one who actually takes the risk, the person who is most adaptable, innovative, strategic thinker, right? The biggest communicator. And then I'm making sure that I have a COO, because they want to oversee the operations. So these two are the key people for leadership position. And let's say we are coming to core operational features. So I create a new node here, calling it core operational personnel. And let's say I see that I need a program director, of course, who decides how the course should be. And we have an operations manager who will decide how to execute it. The program director is the person who is responsible for crafting a program, and the operations manager is responsible for execution of the program, right? And then I see that I want a finance manager to make sure that I'm not going out of budget at any point in my business plan. Now, coming to the support functions, I need, in terms of sales, and then I need an HR manager. And then I need experts in my company, the trainers, right? subject matter experts. And now I add more fields to it, like administrative. Let's say I have a compliance officer, I have an admin personnel, and I have IT support. All right, so I have created a basic hierarchy for my company, but I can see that many things are overlapping, like operations manager and COO possibly might do the same thing. So how do I decide which one to have? They are kind of the same thing. And my firm is going to be small. It's not going to be a big one to start off with, right? My project is not going to be too big. So how do I decide which is more suited? Number one, budget. I might not have too much money to hire a COO who comes with more experience, right? So I might choose to eliminate this position and just retain a operations manager instead. Let's come to the other things. Maybe here I can let go of subject matter experts and make sure that I'm hiring trainers who are also subject matter experts, or I can make sure that they are freelancers. That way, I'm saving a little bit of money because I don't have to retain them using a retainer amount, right? So I can hire freelancers for this. My trainers can be full-time. I have an admin personnel, an IT support, and a compliance manager. Now here, compliance is necessary. Of course, I need someone to tell me whether I'm following all the licensing requirements, all the, risk assessment is done, intellectual properties has been adhered to. So I see that maybe this can be let go of, and I can make sure that my program director is also ensuring, or my operations manager is also taking care of the compliance part. So that way I'm able to save a little bit of money. Another option is that I retain here the compliance officer and also hire them in freelance basis. So this is how you create a organizational chart, and you must have an organizational chart if you are actually planning to take it long term, right? So number one, it depends on the budget, how much money you have to spend. And number two, it depends on the long-term vision which you have. Next, we have product description. Before product description, there's a very important step, which is called product development. Now, I have an idea in my mind that I want to develop a project or a product which is a certified courses for undergraduate students. But how do I make sure that the product is perfectly developed before it goes to the market, right? So there is a simple way to do that. We open another Excel sheet, an existing template. Again, you go to more templates. This is a template called to-do list with progress tracker. Please save this name. This will help you in tracking the progress of any project or development of initial stages of the project, right? This is very important. Now, Excel has already given me a few fields here, which I can see in case, in my case, some are useful. Like I can define the task in the product development stage. Like the first thing that I need to do is maybe identify the customer. Now this task is going to get stored here, so that if any task is getting repeated, I can simply identify it from the list here, right? The second thing that I want is analyze market trends, define for features, evaluate feasibility. I want to develop a prototype or pilot test my project. I'm going to insert some columns here. Iterate based on feedback and finalize and launch. So here we can see that the priorities have been stated, high, low, medium. So let me say that this is of high priority, not normal. So I select high. And status, it's not yet started or it's in progress. Let's see. And here we defined the start date. Now you see here the formula has already been entered. So I can either keep it same or I can enter a formula like this, start date plus 7. If it's scheduled, right? Then I can just say start date plus 7. And then completion status, this is automatically retrieved based on the difference between start date and the due date. I'm not going to manually change it. For example, I'm going to say that the due date for this would be plus 40 days. Okay, sorry, this is not retrieved automatically. I'm going to mark it and I can drop down here. Let's say it is 75% through, right? And I can add notes here that, let's say, research what the problem is in the market, right? I can also add additional column like who is responsible for this. So, owner, okay? Now I have identified so many positions in my company, like there is the CEO, there's a COO, or program manager, right? There is IT support. Now let's say I have these 3 people who are key people in my company. So what I do is I do not need to enter it every time in the owner field. I can simply go to data, then data validation. Click on this, click on data validation. This kind of window will appear and it will ask you whether you want to allow it from a list. I say yes, I want to take it from a list. And the source. Now I have listed my source over here. I'm going to select these and okay. So here I can take the person who is responsible, like the CEO is responsible for this stage. And let's say the IT support is responsible for this stage. Let's say the program manager is responsible for this stage. So I can just select their name. So this will keep me updated about whatever stage of development my product is in. Right. So this is a very critical requirement in any product or, any project management, basically a project these days, that you need to have such kind of a application that can reflect on the stage that your product is in at that particular moment in time. All right. So after we have the product ready, right? After we have reached the prototype stage and we have finalized and launched the project after taking feedback from the customer, before going for the final launch, we need to have a very good product description ready. What does it do? It defines our core offerings, the primary product and its purpose. It lists the features and direct benefits for the customer. So you need to highlight the benefit. Then it defines who is the ideal customer. In my case, it is the undergraduate students. Then you need to explain your USP. Explain why the product is better than the competitors. What is it that the existing competitors are lacking? You need to reiterate it every time because you need to remind the reader that this is important. Your product is needed in the market. And then detail the delivery methods. How will the product be delivered to the customers? In our case, it could be online, it could be offline, or it could be hybrid mode, right? Okay. After that, we have the first stage ready. Then we are going to move on to pricing, which is the second stage. Pricing means deciding at what price your product needs to be sold or it needs to be made available to the intended target audience, right? If you are charging a price, then you need to be sure that it is meeting the customer's needs, like if they are looking for affordability, but at the same time, it should not burn a hole in your pocket, right? So it needs to be ideal such that it is benefiting both the parties. For this, again, we have a template in Excel. Let me see the name of the template. We have expenses report, all right. Let's open another Excel. I have the template already here, expenses report. I create the document. I start off by my name, let's say Skill Development Center. Now this is not going to be an expense report, but it's going to be a pricing plan. And I do not need these columns, so I'm just going to delete them. Right. So for date, we are going to write for time. Why? Because I don't need the date. I haven't yet started selling my product. So it's just going to be the course type. Let's say I'm going to teach them coding, data analysis, research skills, and communication skills, right? This is going to be duration of the course. You can create a similar list here, 3 months or 6 months. And you can reflect on this using the same base cost. This includes the amount that I'm shelling for creating that kind of course, right? All the salaries included, all the materials included. And then instead of hotel, I have additional costs which I haven't factored in yet, but they are still there, right? Then we have the total cost, suggested price, discount, final price, profit margin in percentage, and market comparison. I do not need the total column, so I'm going to delete that. Now we can fill this as we want. Some places you need to enter formulas again, like if you're entering a discount of say 5%. Right? So your final price is going to be deducted from here. Like say, let's assume that it's 12,000. So the final price is going to be this. Minus this is going to be this minus I can see there's some error in the formula because it should not be so less. It should be slightly more than that. But we are going to move on because we have a lot of more to cover. So yeah, so this is how you prepare the pricing plan for any product that you want to come up with. You follow these 5 steps. After you select the pricing strategy, you come up with the some that you have in your mind, you need to prototype it or you need to sell it in the market, do a pilot run, just to see whether all your customers have accepted that price or not. If they haven't, then you need to go back and change it, right? Next is your promotional plan, where you need to define your goals. You need to identify the target audience, choose the ad channel, set a budget, craft the message, design the creative material. So these are all the activities that are generally involved in any marketing plan. Nowadays, the focus is more on digital marketing than the traditional channels of marketing. So you need to hire an expert or you need to yourself be well aware of what digital marketing strategies are in vogue these days or are most widely used these days, which have a maximum impact with a minimum investment, right? So these are the 4 goals that you need to keep in mind. First is that your goal and your message should be very clear when deciding the promotional plan. You need to have a very clear target audience who is going to use it. Then you need to set the budget. What is the budget for each stage of the marketing plan? And then we have design and launch finally, which means that after the marketing plan had been created, you head to the market with the plan, you release it among the audience so that you start getting the response for it. Now, we again have a ready-made template for creating the marketing plan, and it is called channel marketing budget. And there's a lot of Excel templates, but it is just something that simplifies our work, that I'm advocating for it. Instead of creating everything from scratch, why not use existing templates, right? So yeah, that's called marketing budget, channel marketing budget, and then you create. And this is where you start entering the activities that you think will need direct marketing, internet marketing, and so on. I was planning to show you how to fill this, but we really are running out of time and I do not want to keep you anymore. So we will move on to the other parts of our plan. Coming to financial projections, like I said at the beginning of the session, this is one of the most crucial parts in any project design, right? Before you even embark on a new project, if you do not know how much you're going to spend, or if you do not have a clear idea, step by step, stage by stage, how much investment is it going to take? It is very likely that you will go way beyond your budget. It happens to all of us. It's very common, right? It's very easy to lose track if you are not keeping an account of how much you are spending at each stage. That's why we need to create financial projections. Another important reason for having financial projections is that you need to know where you will see or you will be after 1 year, after 2 years. Like I showed you while creating the vision and the mission and everything, that I want to tap 1 million students by 2025. Now, if I have that figure in my mind, 1 million students, I also have a targeted revenue in my mind, right? Because that is the core purpose of any business. That's the core purpose of any project. If it's not financially viable, why invest your time, money, and resources in it? That is why we need to create financial projections in any project. Even for this, I'm saying this for I think the 6th time today, we have an Excel template. You do not need to create it from scratch. There was a time when, I think 10 or 15 years back, we would have to create extensive Excel calculations. We would need to create entries and everything, but we have ready-made templates for it now. All you need to do is determine what will go in there. The nature of every business or every project is different. So it's not necessary that what is coming into my financial projections will come in another person's financial projection, right? हो सकता है कि उनका मैन्युफैक्चरिंग वाला आइडिया है जबकि मेरा स्किल डेवलपमेंट सेंटर का आइडिया है. So how do I identify what goes into my financial projection? That is more important than the figures that you are entering. Yes, I'm saying that is more important than the figures that you're entering. Now, we are going to see, if time permits, how to enter those figures also. But by and large, we need to cover these 3 statements for sure. One is the P&L statement. We are all familiar with the P&L statement. basically means profit and loss statement. It tracks the company's profitability over a period. हो सकता है कि my company is making a loss and not a profit. Even then, I would need to create this statement. I know that when I invest 1 crore in my first year on the project, it's not necessary that I will start seeing the returns from day one. So it is anticipated that in the first year of my operations, I will make a loss. How did I make a loss? How do I avoid it in the future in my second year? That is why a P&L statement is important. How much did I spend on salaries? How much did I spend on stationery? How much did I spend on creators' material? How much did I spend on taxes? How much did I spend on traveling, electricity, rent, all these expenses? If I don't track it from day one, I will not know how to improve it month on month. My business idea or my project idea is going to be a small scale one. So I need to track it more frequently than a large scale company. Large scale companies publish their statements every year, annually karte hain wo. But because I do not have the resources to wait for 1 year to see how I'm performing financially and then take a call during the next year, I do not have shareholders equity. It's a small firm which I'm going to start off with, right? So I need to maintain the P&L statement monthly. That is my recommendation for anybody starting or embarking on a new project. It tracks the company's profitability via the expenses over a period of time, in our case, monthly. It shows the revenues, expenses, net profit or loss. The key thing is net profit or loss. After all, this is the one thing we are all concerned with. It includes both cash and non-cash item. What is a non-cash item? If you have any kind of inventory in the project, a computer system, or something as simple as just a phone, right? If you're purchasing a phone for business use, it's a depreciating asset. That means its value decreases over time as you keep using it. That also has to be accounted for in the P&L statement. Then it determines if the business is making a profit or loss. इसी से पता चल जाता है कि business profit में है या loss में है. Then we have the balance sheet, which measures the performance over a period of time. Again, it measures the performance, but in a different way than a P&L statement. A P&L statement record daily expenses also, but a balance sheet is more like an overview which we create at the end of the year. You do not need to create this every month. Okay, it shows revenues, expenses, and profit and loss during that time. It includes assets, liabilities, and equity. This is the most important part. How much are the assets from the time I started to the time the year ended? Liabilities, if I took any loans for my project, and equity means if there are any shareholders, then what do I owe them? It aims to understand whether the business is profitable or not. And then finally, we have the income statement, which tracks the actual movement in and out of the business. It includes, there's only one difference between P&L and income statement, and that is P&L statement records the non-cash expenses also, and here the non-cash expense is not recorded. If we are to create a P&L statement, these are the most crucial entries, and इसके अलावा और entries आ जाते हैं. Like here I can see that say loan is not included, amortization expenses are not included here. I can see that water maintenance is not included here. I can see that maybe visitor fees are not included, travel expenses are not included here. So there are a lot of entries which are not included, which you can customize based on your need. All that matters is that what you are entering here. Every single expense in your project has to be accounted for in this list, along with the accurate figures. Then we come to the cash flow statement. Cash flow statement represents your project's liquidity. What is liquidity? If I am to sell, if I'm forced to sell my company or my project right here and right now, how much would I get for it? And whether, if I'm forced to pay off my loans right now, do I have enough liquidity to pay my creditors? Right? So I need to determine it. And to do that, I need to maintain a cash flow statement. The only difference, like I said, between a P&L and a cash flow statement is that we do not account for non-cash expenses here, like taxes they generally don't come here. So everything else will come here, like your net income, accounts receivables, inventory and all. So accounts payable, these are actually not included. So we are going to deduct them from the net income. All right. So finally, we have the balance sheet. This is made at the end of the year, where we show the assets, that is what your business owns, and the liabilities, what you owe others. These are the two most important things. Here, there is one entry which comes straight from the P&L statement, and that is cash and cash equivalents, accounts receivable. These come straight from the P&L statement. And then plants and machinery will not be applicable in my case because I'm setting up a skill development center. I will not have any heavy machinery. It might have only small equipment. So I'm going to change this and I'm going to make it equipment. We don't want land. I'm not planning to buy any land for my development center, my skill development center. And likewise, I'm not planning to have any shareholders. I'm planning to keep it a partnership firm. So these might not really show up in my case. But I will have to show retained earnings. This comes on the P&L statement again. So the basic thing that you have to make sure that assets and liabilities are tallying. Liabilities take into account the shareholders' equity also. When you start creating the Excel, the financial projections Excel, there will be automatic formulas to calculate these. All you need to do is enter the field and the amount there. The 5 things that you need to keep in mind is that you need to start with realistic assumptions. Break it down monthly. Realistic assumptions, what are these? If I anticipate that I'm going to pay my trainer 25,000, I should not make it 15,000 just to appease someone. Okay, it has to be realistic. We need to break it down monthly. I will be explaining the importance of this. Don't underestimate costs. It's okay if you overestimate cost in the financial budgeting, because accordingly you will get the funding for it, the grant for it. But do not underestimate it. Otherwise, you end up paying for it from your pocket or compromising on some aspect of your business, right? We don't want that. And then you plan for initial investments. Have a figure in mind that if you are planning to take investment for your project, then what is that figure? What is that amount that you need? And then track cash flow closely. This is the most important part. Every day matters. Finally, we have the operations plan, where we outline how the operations are going to take place for my business idea. First is the initiation phase, planning and design phase, execution and evaluation phase. For this also, we have a ready-made template. We have a simple Gantt chart in this case. You can change it as per your project idea. The columns which you don't need, you can simply delete them. And then here in the initiation, you can enter the actual values or the actual aspects, like identify target audience. In my case, I will share a list of the initiation steps, the planning steps, the execution and the evaluation steps. So you have to enter everything. You need to again create a list here. Who is the task assigned to? The progress state is here automatically reflected from this. This is something you do not need to do manually. It calculates the progress stage by subtracting the start date to the end date. Yeah, so this is the important part of a scheduling plan or operational plan for a business. Yeah, so that's all for my presentation. I would now like to invite your questions. I can see that there are a few messages. Ma'am, balance sheet, last bullet point is wrong. Balance sheet, let's go to the balance sheet. Assets business profitability. Sir, is that what you're talking about? Business profitability cannot be assessed. I suppose you're referring to this point. If you could please unmute yourself and tell me if this is what you're talking about. Balance sheet is used to assess business profitability. Okay, we have a reply. Ma'am, please share this PPT. Yes, I will share it with our organizers. I will send it to them and they will share it with you. I think they have a group for this, so they can share it with you on their platform. So coming back to your point, business profitability assessment is done from balance sheets only. So because if you don't, I mean, that reflects your profit and loss input also. So if you are not able to see the balance sheet, you are not able to come to a more holistic view of how the business is performing. So I hope I got it correctly, what you're trying to say, this bullet point. Or if you're trying to say this, yes, ma'am, balance sheet will not reveal the profitability. Okay, I will clarify this more personally one-to-one with you. But from the P&L statement, जो हमारा net profit या net loss होता है, that gets reflected in the balance sheet also. It has to like your retained earnings. Here, the retained earnings part is nothing but borrowed from your balance sheet, from your P&L statement. So in a way, it is showing the profitability, but we don't primarily see it for profitability. I think that's what you're trying to say. कि हम primarily we don't see a balance sheet for profitability. We see the P&L statement for profitability primarily. But reflection does happen in the balance sheet, although we do not primarily refer to it. Name the name of the software, please repeat. I think you're talking about XMind. Let me quickly open XMind. Yeah, xmind.ai, or you can simply say xmind.com. Sorry. This is the software which I'm using, XMind. The other software is Excel, which I was using. But there are different templates which I have showed you today for Excel. And then, is there any other question any of you has? I remember one person had raised their hand. Ma'am, who you had raised your hand. I don't remember your name, but if you have any question, you can ask me right now. Okay. So are there any further questions from any of you? If not, then we can close the session. I understand that it's probably sleep time for all of you. Before parting, I would like to say thank you very much for joining this session today. I will share this PPT with ma'am, Mamta ma'am, and with the organizers so that you can access it at any time. I also have another session coming up tomorrow, which is on Power BI. We are going to take up a very interesting case study for tomorrow's session. I have curated a case problem for that. And it is not going to be theoretical. It is going to be completely hands-on. I would request all of you that if you want to learn Power BI, it is not at all a complex software. बहुत simple software है. Please download the application before you come for the session. Again, I will share the instructions with our organizers. It is free of cost. You can download it on any system which you are using. As long as it's a Windows system, it is not going to function in iOS. It's only going to perform on Windows operating system. So please download it and come for tomorrow's session at 6 p.m. We are going to take up a very interesting case study to understand visualizations using Power BI. We have a very wrong notion that we cannot use it in academic project, but we can also use it in academic projects. So I'm going to demonstrate that tomorrow. Yeah. Thank you again so much for joining. I have one more comment. Let me quickly just read it for a minute. Very informative session. Yeah, I used to work with MS Excel, MS Visio, Canva, Mind Maps. That led me to become a researcher. I'm very happy to know that these have inspired you to become a researcher. And I pursued to the career of data analyst and currently working. Wow, this is very, very inspiring. It's very heartening to read this message that somebody has started with MS Excel, the simple applications which I showed them, and they have come to the stage where they have completely pursued a career of data analysis. So this is very, this is the real world application of the things that we have today. This is how the impact shows. Impact is what matters at the end of the day. Thank you so much. I'm having a very, humbling time reading all your messages. And I really hope that you have. Thank you so much for joining, all of you. And See you all tomorrow. Thank you. Ma'am, can we close the session or is there anything we could, I need to elaborate
Yeah.
here?
Thank you,
Gaurav.
ma'am. Thank you, Priya, ma'am, for sharing enriching knowledge with the participants. So that was it in the first day of the A.T.A.L FTP. I hope you all liked it. So we have shared the feedback link and attendance link in the chat box, and you all are required to fill that. We have also shared the same Google form feedback link as well as attendance forms on your respective email IDs. Kindly check your email IDs and do fill that forms. We will be sharing the PPTs as well. Don't worry. Okay, so stay tuned with us. We'll meet tomorrow for day 2 of A.T.A.L FTP. Good night. Take care.
Sir, I have an updated PPT. So if you could just give me 2 minutes, I will send it to you in email. And if you could send that one to everyone. I added a
Okay,
few
okay,
slides today. So वो वाला आपको भेज
okay.
दूंगी. Please upload that
ठीक है.
one in the,
Yeah, sure,
yeah.
sure, ma'am.
Thank you, everyone. See you all tomorrow.